Hello everyone and welcome back to the Triple Crown Wargaming Studios with myself, Max the Chiefs and Hurley, James the Lawmaster Lamin, and Empty Chair Scott.
We empty chaired him.
Yeah, we have empty chaired him. We've got a time account book though.
We certainly do.
So you can't guess what's going to happen now. But anyway, you're welcome back for another deep dive. And the deep dives are a series of videos dedicated to the competitive analysis of every army book and supplement in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. In this video, we'll break down the Legion of Azgorh, or more commonly known as the Chaos Dwarf Army List. There, we've got the big ball over there.
Point at things.
Yeah, so the Chaos Dwarf Army List found in the Tarmurkhan, the Throne of Chaos campaign book, as they never received an official army book itself.
No, they didn't.
It's just an army list. We'll look at the army special rules, the Lore of Hashut, the unique magic items, and analyse each special character. Spoiler alert, there's one.
There's one. But we'll analyse him.
We're going to analyse him very well, and each unit choice with our dedicated competitive rating system. If you're looking for the ultimate guide to building a competitive Chaos Dwarf army, then you've come to the right place. So today's video, we'll break it down quickly for you. In today's video, we're going to have firstly outline how the rating system works. We're going to go through the army-wide special rules, go through the special character and unit ratings, followed by an analysis of army-specific items and the unique Lore of Hashut that Chaos Dwarf have access to. And then finally, we'll discuss some sample competitive army lists, both in a non-comps environment and within the framework of the Triple Crown comp system itself. So, without further ado, let's get cracking.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, here is a brief explanation / recap of how the rating system works.
I'm sure there's lots of deep dive veterans out there that are going to skip this section of the video.
I counted yesterday. We've done about, I think it's 9 or 10 of these now.
You're probably going to skip these bits.
Yeah,
but if you haven't seen it before, pay attention.
Firstly, we divide every unit in the army book into battlefield roles. This creates a system that accurately represents how competitive a unit is at its job. Just because it won't kill 50 models in a game doesn't mean it isn't competitive. And the battlefield roles are as follows. We have Battleline Units, the regiments that form the fighting line of an army. We have your flanking units, which are the shock units you use for hitting the enemies, so unsurprisingly in the flanks, in support of your battle line. Ranged units, the units that offer you dedicating shooting threat. And I can tell you, there's going to be a few in this army. There's going to be a few in this army.
Some.
We have Chaff Units, which are the units you use for hitting lone targets like war machines and sacrificing for battlefield advantage. And support units, those uniquely Warhammer units that offer buffs or damage unlike anything else. And lastly, we have characters, which is what it says on the tin. There are 15 different criteria for scoring. However, each of the battlefield roles are scored on the 6 criteria which are most relevant to their role. We'll outline which criteria are used for each battlefield role, and the full details of how each criteria is broken down for scoring can be found at triplecrownwargaming.com. It's on, I think it's the rating system. The rating system. This link is posted in the video below the video too. It's pretty in-depth stuff and well worth checking out to better understand the deep dive content and to help you think critically about how your armies units. Sorry, got my words.
Right there.
My tongue tied.
How your army's units work. Yeah.
My tongue tied there. So each criteria is worth up to 4 points, giving a total out of 24 for each unit in the army book. The higher that number, the more competitive it is at its job. And the criteria for each battlefield role is as follows. For battle line units, you're scored on strength of attacks, number of attacks, your special rules, your command options, your survivability, and your cost. Flanking units are scored on strength of attacks, number of attacks, special rules, their maneuverability this time, their survivability, and their cost. Ranged units are scored on threat range, strength of shot, accuracy, versatility, survivability, and their cost. Chaff units are scored on maneuverability, the number of attacks they have, their special rules, the slot that they come in, the survivability, and their cost. And the support units are scored on maneuverability, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability, and cost. And then character units are scored on output, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability.
Wait, is it cost?
No, it's not cost.
Oh.
It's cost.
It's cost.
And so a handy tip in general is if a unit scores 18 or more, it's a pretty strong choice.
Yeah, it's really competitive normally.
Yeah. So we've got that, we've got the rating system out of the way now, so we're going to move into the Chaos Dwarf or Legion of Azgorh army special rules. So, now we're going to look into the Chaos Dwarf or Legion of Azgorh army special rules, and James has taken up his position as bookman for the day.
Now we just have the empty chair.
I mean, I just have empty chair.
Sorry, chair.
I might superimpose a picture of Scott in there. You know,
No.
no one wants that. So, Chaos Dwarves, they do have a lot of special rules.
Yeah,
they actually have a lot. They have 7 army special rules, which I think is probably the most we've actually done for all of them.
Yeah, I can't think of any army that has more than that. That even has that many, to be honest. Like
High Elves,
4 or 5, yeah.
High Elves about 3 or 4. I think Wood Elves around the same amount, about number. But this would be the most we've done so far.
Yeah, 7's a lot. Let's do the 7.
Let's do the 7. So firstly, we have Resolute. And it means that models with this flee and pursue 2d6 minus 1 inches. It's not particularly great. This is a hangover from the 7th edition Dwarf Army book.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And when the Dwarves got updated, they lost this, but Chaos Dwarves unfortunately got stuck with it.
Yeah, because their book came out first. So
yeah, so 2d6 minus 1. It's not that good because it means your Chaos Dwarf units, if they ever run from combat, they're pretty much always gonna.
They're far more likely to get caught, aren't they?
They're gonna get caught.
Even more harrowing if you're fighting Skaven who get 2d6 plus 1. and that's a 2-point swing.
And on the other point of it, as James said, like if you are chasing a unit you broke in combat, you're not particularly likely to catch them either.
Yeah.
Especially playing Skaven.
Yeah, and it makes some standout units often being the ones that don't have this rule for that type of combat role.
But it does help to the fact that you can easily get stubborn in your main units.
Oh yeah, you're unlikely to break.
You are very unlikely.
It's
the pursuing is going to be the issue. But if you do break, you are in a bit of trouble, unfortunately.
Not great, this one.
It's not, but as I said, it kind of sucks that the regular Dwarves got rid of it, but Chaos Dwarves, they got stuck with it. But hey, that's how this works, really. Unless you've got anything else to say about it,
They do still have Resolute, the regular Dwarves.
It
just does something different. And it's really good. I think it's +1 strength on the charge.
Oh, that's that then.
I think that's what it is.
We're going to move into our next rule, which is Relentless, which allows all Chaos Dwarves with this rule to ignore the need to pass the leadership test to march if there's an enemy unit within 8 inches. So, again, it's a hangover from Dwarves, because they got that as well. They still have that as well.
Yep.
And it's pretty good. It means that, I say it's pretty good. It's situational on a Dwarf unit.
I don't know, look, the army's slow. Anything that means they don't ever lose movement is good.
Yes.
I mean, they are unlikely to fail leadership tech, it's well worth pointing out, because the leadership's really high.
Leadership 10 really general with BSB and
9
all that.
for a massive amount of units, a 9 as well.
Yeah, unless you are a non-dwarf.
Yeah.
You pretty much are a 9.
And the non-dwarves don't have this one, do they? I think it's just
no, Hobgoblins don't have this.
Dwarves.
It's just literally the dwarves and the bull centaurs.
So yeah, I mean, you're unlikely to fail the test, is probably fair to say, but you don't have to take it.
You don't have to take it. You don't have to risk that. And if you know me, I don't like risking leadership tests.
As we always say in competitive play, and this genuinely is the kind of cardinal rules, make your opponent roll the dice.
Yes.
Like if you don't, anything that doesn't mean you have to roll dice is good. Like
it takes away the randomness of a game and means you got something more reliable. That's the word I'm looking for.
Even if you're in range of your general, there's still 3 outs here that you fail on. It's not a lot.
I failed loads of them.
It's not a lot.
I think you failed a few of them yourself, probably in the past.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Scott's definitely failed a few of them himself as well.
You don't need to. Look. You don't need to test. It's good. Anything like that is good. It's just not well beaten.
No, basically because your dwarf units aren't fast enough to zip around the units in which you need a massive amount. Unless you are flying at that point in time, say like on a flying cow.
Oh yeah, see that is good there, isn't it?
It's good on flying cow. But with your regular foot dwarves, it's situational, but it's useful.
Yeah, it's helpful, isn't it? It's better than nothing.
And so we're going to move into our third rule, which is Contempt, which is a unique Chaos Dwarf rule that the regular Dwarves don't have. Which means that units with this rule, which are Chaos Dwarves and Bull Centaurs, do not suffer panic tests from units that break or are destroyed within 6 inches of them unless they themselves are Chaos Dwarves or Bull Centaurs. I think that's the wording of the rule in there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Weirdly worded.
Unless the unit destroyed or broken is itself a Chaos Dwarf or Bull Centaur unit. Yeah.
So realistically, you don't take panic tests if, say, a Hobgoblin unit runs away.
Yeah.
Or if, say, a Kadai unit is destroyed.
That's a weird one, isn't it?
They won't run away, but they can destroy themselves. So they won't worry about that. The only things they will worry about is if, say, a Bull Centaur or artillery piece will run away.
Yeah, but I mean, I got to be honest. The fact that I don't have to panic from Kadai stuff either is quite nice.
I say Kadai. We'll get into it later on, but they're not going to run away, but they can die out in combat.
Again, unlikely to fail the test, but it doesn't matter because you don't have to take.
You don't have to take the test.
That's 100% pass rate. That's the way to think about it.
It is 100%. And your units are so expensive that any unit that is running away is a massive detriment to your army.
No, that's game. So yeah, I like this one too.
Yeah, you can use. There's tactics for using with Hobgoblins, so you can stick your Hobgoblins out front. There's Chaff. flee from a charge, run for your own Chaos Dwarf unit. The Chaos Dwarves just really won't care.
Yeah, absolutely informs tactical play, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like things, particularly with things like the Hobgoblin Khan. I know we're going to talk about him later again.
Well, yeah, we will talk about it later.
But again, I think Contempt and Hobgoblin Khan has a lot of strong synergy.
It does, yes. So good rule, it's a very good rule, means again it takes away some randomness of your army and your leadership tests. And then we're going to move into a rule that only Sorcerer Prophets and Demon Smith Sorcerers and Drazoath the Ashen, which is the special character, they have. And it is the Demon Smith rule. It grants them immune psychology off the bat, which is always quite nice. It again takes away any sort of panic or fear terror of the test you have to take. It also has 2 sub-rules, which is really weird, of Infernal Engineer and Sorcerer's Curse.
Yes.
These are both a bit wordy for me to speak myself, for me to ad-lib.
You to paraphrase.
To paraphrase, so I'm going to get James to read it straight from the book for me now.
So we have Sorcerer's Curse. Chaos Dwarf sorcerers pay a terrible price for their powers, be they Demon Smith or Mighty Prophet of the Dark God Hashut. Their bones and flesh slowly petrify over time into unfeeling blackened stone. Each time the magic they command slips from their grasp for but an instant, this curse punishes them further until one day the sorcerer is trapped, screaming silently within a prison of their own immobile body.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
No, it's unkind, that. Whenever a Chaos Dwarf with this special rule suffers a miscast during the game, after resolving the effects of the miscast on them normally, they must take a toughness test. If this test is failed, they suffer a single additional wound, which may not be prevented in any way. And it says even by ward saves.
Even by ward saves.
However, the first time they suffer a wound in this manner, they also gain +1 toughness for the rest of the game, should they survive. Subsequent failures simply cause additional wounds to be inflicted instead. So, mixed bag. This is not a good rule.
It's not a good rule, but you're unlikely to fail it.
Yeah, because they're toughness 4 and 5.
They're both toughness 5.
The Smiths.
I think the Smiths. I think the Smiths might be 5 as well.
I'm gonna
do a quick literally page
struggling
after that one.
Yeah.
It's a big book. It's quite unwieldy.
No, the Demon Smith Sorcerers are 4. The heroes.
So it's there 4.
But
you're still unlikely to fail.
It's not a great fail rate, and if you do fail once, you get tougher as well. So
yeah,
that reduces the fail rate on the hero, although not so good because he's only got 1 wound left.
No, but I say I've put on here. It's a risk reward and double-edged sword sort of rule.
Yeah, I'd rather not have it. If I'm honest.
You don't want to lose the wound.
Yeah.
But if you lose the wound, you're getting a bonus benefit of getting +1 toughness,
yeah.
which is always quite nice. So to fail enough times to kill yourself is going to be unlikely.
Yes, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Especially for like the hero level Demon Smiths. If they fail their toughness 5, then they only fail 1/6 of the time.
Yeah.
They lose their second wound.
It's unlikely, and they've got a miscast as well.
They have got a miscast as well.
So there's a lot in there.
If you're careful with your casting attempts,
yeah,
you shouldn't be particularly miscasting.
No.
Then there's not particularly ways to prevent the miscast, but you can.
You take earthen rod to stop you taking wounds from the miscast.
Yeah, do that. That'd be pretty good.
But that might just mean you take less wounds.
But no, it's a fluffy rule because obviously dwarves aren't.
Yeah, it is very much that, isn't it?
Dwarves aren't meant to use magic, but Chaos Dwarves force magic through their bodies, and they pay a price for it.
It is petrifying experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And Infernal Engineer, which is the second part of this rule, a model with this rule, if it is within 3 of one of the army's war machines and not mounted on a monster, is allowed to take a Lookout Sir roll, as if they were in a unit of 5 or more models. In addition, one more war machine that is within 3 of an Infernal Engineer may reroll 1 scatter dice or artillery dice per turn. If the Infernal Engineer uses the reroll ability, they cannot shoot with their own missile weapon in the same shooting phase.
So this is where being a Demon Smith is good.
Yeah.
So if you're within 3 inches of war machine, you get a 2 up Lookout Sir.
Yeah.
Because it is if they're a rank of 5 rank of 5 models.
And they can actually be in a unit as well.
They can be in a unit,
so you don't even need to.
You don't need to chuck.
It's a double bubble, isn't it? If the unit gets smashed up, then they can take the lookout on the machine.
Obviously, you can't do it if you mount it on your big old monsters, which the big monsters in the Chaos Dwarves are pretty tasty. I keep looking over to over there, the big cow. But you also get the other ones like the little cow and the Lamassu. But if you mount it on a monster, you don't get it. But you do get to reroll the artillery dice and scatter dice, even if you are mounted on a monster.
Yeah, the reroll in artillery or scatter is good.
It is good.
It
helps.
Good, yeah.
It helps. So this is why a lot of lists for Chaos Dwarves prescribe around your artillery hill, surrounded with like two sorcerers or 2 Demon Smiths probably in that mix to give all the artillery the maximum amount of output it can do. So it's a pretty good rule. I think it's pretty much similar to the engineer rule that dwarves have, regular dwarves.
Yeah, I think that with the engineers for some of the other armies, they have to sort of say before the machine fires that you are
using it.
I haven't seen the FAQ for this book.
I don't think it said anything at the FAQ about it.
But this to me reads as if I can just have them there. In addition, one war machine that is within 3 of an Inferno Engineer may reroll 1 scatter or artillery dice per turn.
Yes, you don't have to declare that the
Don't
engineer...
necessarily have to nominate that.
So you have to say the engineer is helping the war machine user. Oh, the war machine goes out and the engineer's got reflexes like a cat and jumps on the war machine to help it out a little bit. So, overall, Demon Smith rule is a bit of a mixed bag. It has Immunity Psychology, which is quite nice, and it has the Infernal Engineer. But the Sorcerer's Curse does make it a bit of a risky
That does stop
prospect.
units there in fleeing, although like voluntarily fleeing.
Voluntarily fleeing.
However, I mean, being resolute, you probably don't,
want to
voluntarily flee. So
you don't want to voluntarily because you might be caught up in it.
Well, let's move on.
Let's move on. We're going to move on to our next 2 rules. And these are additional rules for artillery pieces, but they're more of an upgrade. So you pay points for them, but I'm going to count them as a special rule because you don't really see them anywhere else.
Yeah,
really.
they're also in that section.
They're also in the special rule section
So,
of the Tarmurkhan book.
I think that's a fair place to put them, Mr. Hurley.
So the first up we have Steam Carriage. And this is an upgrade. So they may not move in-game at all except to pivot in the shooting phase. Unless there is an Iron Demon war engine nearby. We'll talk about more on that later on today though. And they also count as being in hard cover from shooting and count as fighting behind a defended wall when charged.
So that's war machines, yeah?
That's war machines.
Because
Yeah.
you started without saying war machines.
Oh yes, war machines only.
machines.
War machines
War
only.
machines only. So yeah.
You can't have a Chaos Dwarf on a Steam Carriage.
Yeah.
So
it's still good.
It's pretty good. It's 25 points for all your war machines. It's a bit pricey, and some of your war machines are pricey to begin with as it is.
And you've got to buy the train.
You have to buy a train. That's something I didn't.
And that's also more points again.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. 'Cause in the army list section of the book, it does specify you can only take the Steam Carriage if you take the Iron Demon.
Yeah.
So that in itself, as James said, is very expensive. But hardcover from shooting, not all that good because what's going to be shooting your artillery is other artillery.
Yeah, probably, but it's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but it does help when you get charged by chaff because you are defending an obstacle. And they won't get the benefits like spears,
yeah.
devastating charge if you get charged by something like that.
Yeah.
None of that bonus or anything like that. So it does give you a bit of time to try and survive.
I'd still
against the
probably
chaff.
leave this at home.
I'd probably leave it at home, but if you had some points and you really wanted to have it dragged around by a train,
Boop, boop. You can do that.
we are going to be making train noises later on
Yes,
today.
we are.
But so it's a situational rule and it can be useful, but maybe not so much in a competitive sense. Now, next upgrade / rule is Hellbound. And again, this is for artillery only. And artillery that's been Hellbound cause fear and increase the toughness and wounds characteristics by 1. Damage caused by war machines also is classified as magical attacks. Where if you misfire, as well as the result you roll on the misfire table, you also suffer D3 wounds with no saves. The last bit is why you don't see Hellbound artillery.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Yeah.
why you don't see +1 strength and toughness, magical attacks, and fear is lovely. Magical attacks not so much if you're playing against high elves, but
I think because of the Banner of the World Dragon and the prevalence in terms of how competitive that army is, as ridiculous as it sounds,
that one army.
that one army probably is enough to say I just don't think I'll bother because the artillery pieces absolutely shred
Yeah,
high elf regiments otherwise.
like your magma cannons, your death shriekers.
And you can get magical artillery with the hell cannon anyway,
Yeah.
so you don't need to sort of make your regular ones.
So this
magical.
one isn't available to all your artillery. The hell cannon cannot be hellbound.
No.
Otherwise
Otherwise it'd be like ridiculously stupid. Yeah.
But you can hellbound all the 4 other pieces of artillery that you have available in your army. So it's all +1 toughness, +1 wound means that you're not going to be killed as easily by other artillery or by regular shooting. Fear's nice because it means you might get lucky against the Chaff Units because they're not going to have general leadership maybe. Magical attacks instead it can be good, but magical attacks and losing D3 wounds. D3 wounds on a regular piece of artillery has a chance to kill it off the bat.
Yeah, and don't forget you still got the misfire on top of that.
The misfire on top of that,
So-
you are suffering possibly 4 wounds. Because if it's going on a stone thrower misfire table, you can suffer a wound from the stone thrower
Yeah.
misfire table and then suffer D3 wounds.
Does the flame cannon not use the black powder misfire table?
Use the back powder, but the Dread Quake uses stone thrower.
So, but if you had the rocket, then the third of the time it's just dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even with
and then if it survives, it then could still die from.
yeah, even with the
from wounds.
+1 wound, yeah.
So
Again, it's nice, but I probably wouldn't use it in a competitive sense. Again, I think it's 25 points for every piece of artillery they can take.
I do like it. I might be tempted to have like 1 or 2 pieces like it, but
I think there's one piece of artillery that you do see it more taken on than others, and that's the Dread Quake,
the Dreadquake,
which
yeah.
we're going to move. We'll talk about later on today again. And unless you've got anything else to say on those
Oh,
upgrades.
I think that's it, mate.
So that is specials done, and there are a metric load of them, to be honest.
Yes.
But now we're going to move into our main bulk of this video, which will be... To be honest, it's not going to be that long, if I'm honest. It won't be a bulk as such.
It's not going to be Warriors of Chaos, is it, mate?
It's not going to be Warriors Chaos, which is the last one that me and James did together.
Yeah.
that was a drag.
Yes, it was. It was a long video.
But we're now going to move into the units and special character ratings. So we're going to move into our unit and special character ratings now. But firstly, we're going to address an elephant in the room, which is generic character profiles. If you've seen this before, you can skip maybe 2 minutes ahead of the video, because it's just pretty much the same thing. But there are, to be honest, there's more generic characters than there are actual infantry in the book.
Really?
There's 4 generic special characters, and there's 2 lots of infantry in the
4
book.
generic characters
Yeah.
and 2 lots of infantry. Yeah, that is true.
So when putting together a system of rating choices in Warhammer that actually has value, it's incredibly difficult to do this for generic characters. Units like the Sorcerer Prophet, which is your Lord choice, for example, have so many options that undoubtedly the choices you make at the stage will define the competitive value of the choice itself. So during this deep dive, we won't be covering generic choices, but we have devised a way to get a rating on them for you all watching. When you come up with your generic character build, head over to triplecrownwargaming.com/the rating system and put the character through the rating system itself we use for special characters in the deep dive videos. That way you will get a competitive rating for your build that will compare directly to the ratings that we give here. Alternatively, drop us over your army list for the character in it and we'll take a look at it and try and feature it in a future video. So we've got that. So yeah, that's how, if you want to get generic character ratings, just tell us what it is. We'll put it through ratings. We'll talk about it later on, like this month or in the next deep dive we do maybe.
Do what we can, yeah.
And then we'll do what we can. Or just be able to do it yourself. A bit of DIY rating.
Yeah, don't forget as well, you've got the competitive character series too, where we build generic character builds.
And we have done a Source of Profit in a
We
competitive
certainly
character.
have. So
And
you can check that out too.
He's a very fun character himself. So, but with that out of the way, let's divide the army book units into their respective categories and give them their competitive score. And remember, if we feel a unit can be used in multiple categories, we will put them into multiple categories. And there's a few in the book that we have put into multiple categories, if I'm honest.
Yeah, otherwise we'd be done in 10 minutes.
We would just be done in 10 minutes. So we're going to start with the Battleline Units for the Dawizar, and we have Infernal Guard, Hobgoblin Cutthroats, Infernal Iron Sworn, Bull Centaur, Rendors, and the Goliath Fireborn.
So 4.
There are 5 Battleline
I
Units.
can count.
Off the cuff you can count, yeah?
Woo, let's start.
So first up we have the Infernal Guard, which come with a competitive rating of 15 out of 24.
Solid.
Which is a solid score for a Battleline unit.
Solid score for core.
Oh. And we get there for 2 with strength of attacks, 1 for the number of attacks, 2 for special rules, 4 for their command options, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. It's a good score. And also I'm going to say, for simplicity's sake, I am going to call these guys Chaos Dwarf Warriors rather than Infernal Guard.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to say.
Yeah, that's the core Chaos Dwarf.
This is the core Chaos Dwarf.
Basically, Chaos Dwarf, Infernal Guard are the core Chaos Dwarf.
So let's start with a good one. They come off the bat with a 3-up armor save.
Yeah, got Black Shard armor, which is Chaos armor, so 4+ armor.
Pretty much. We're going to talk about that later on today as well.
And gives you a 5-up ward against flaming.
Yes.
So we'll just touch on that.
And they come stocked with a shield as well. And a hand weapon.
And a hand weapon, so they can have a parry as well.
Yep, so they have 3-up armor save, 6-up parry, and the conditional war save as well later on down the line.
They are very survivable core with toughness 4.
And a cheap cost of 12 points a model as well, which is quite nice. And they also have a lot of good weapon options, if I'm honest. They have great weapons, they have fire glaives, and they have the hail shot blunderbuss.
This is the issue for them. I have to say this. This is the issue for them as a unit, which is the cost of the weapon upgrades are absolutely astronomical.
They are. So the hail shot blunderbuss we're going to leave for now because they all turn up in a different section.
In the shooting section.
In the shooting section. So great weapons cost 3 points a model.
They do.
And a fire glaive costs 5 points per model, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, 5's a lot.
A fire glaive is good. It's a 18-inch handgun, so strength 4 armor piercing, but with an 18-inch range. And it also doubles up as a halberd in combat.
Yeah, it's a good all-round choice, but like a lot of things in Warhammer, when you buy the all-round option, it's really expensive.
It is, yes.
So
the comparative option here for a lot of people is just to take great weapons. Because Chaos Dwarf Warriors, Infernal Guard, they come stocked with strength 4.
They do.
They are strength 4. So if you take a grey weapon,
strength 6, 15 points.
Strength 6 at 15 points a model. So
they're still pricey, but it's worth pointing out they are core.
They are still your cores. You are going to be taking these unless you want to take a load of hobgoblins.
I mean, they're your 2 options.
There's literally 2 options in the book: is Infernal Guard or hobgoblins. So you're usually going to take great weapons. Their command options are pretty good as well. They get a full command and they get a lovely 50-point magic banner.
They do.
I think it's 1 unit. There's a specification there, I think.
1 unit of Chaos Dwarf Infernals in the army may have a magic standard worth up to 50 points.
Yes, and your Infernal Ironsworn count towards this as well.
Yes, they
So if you take Infernal Ironsworn and Infernal Guard, only one of them can have a banner up to 50
Even though it says
points.
any unit of Infernal Ironsworn may have a magic standard.
So maybe... Okay, so
Now,
maybe...
was that an FAQ thing?
I didn't see it, so it might be one I missed.
Yeah, I think it probably means Infernal Guard. So
Okay.
yeah, just in 1 unit of Infernal Guard can have a 50-point magic banner.
So there you go. So that's what it is. They do have a 50-point magic banner, which is quite nice. The Chaos Dwarf Champion has some options as well.
Yeah, so he's actually pretty good. He's 2 points more than a regular champion. He's a 12-point upgrade, not a 10.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets a second attack and an extra point at weapon skill.
Yep.
Now, I don't mind that. That's quite good. Now, he can take...
It's badly worded.
Yeah, it is, because it says he may be infernal to a death mask, then it says the Overseer. I assume that means the death mask.
That was FAQ.
Yeah.
The Overseer, the Death Mask is an Overseer, so he's a champion.
So he may be equipped with a pistol for 2 points or nap for bombs for 5 points.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to take the
Fireglaves.
Fireglaves or the Blunderbusses,
Or the Blunderbusses, to be honest.
you actually want to equip him with probably the nap for bomb. That's only range 6, isn't it?
6-inch range bomb. So
if you watch the Empire deep dive,
it's the exact same.
you know the trick we talked about there, which is because of the interaction with stand and shoot. The way stand and shoot works is that you are treated as having fired your stand and shoot reaction at the maximum range of the shortest ranged weapon in the regiment.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got only a 6-inch range, your stand and shoot reaction is treated as being shot from 6 inches, which means that the other weapons, the Fireglaves or the House shots, would be inside their short range, so they wouldn't suffer the penalty for firing
Long range.
at long range if you had the nap for bombs on the Overseer / Death Mask.
So if you are taking Fireglaves or the Hell shots, nap for bombs at that point are a 1+.
Yes, we'll cover that again in Blunderbusses, just as a reminder. But yeah, the Fireglaves are expensive.
They are expensive. 5 points. 5 points. I'd say they're maybe 3 or 4 points. I wouldn't even go 5 points.
Yeah, I think 3 probably.
3 points. Same as a great weapon. Maybe.
I think the great weapon probably should be 2. I'm not sure why it's 3. It's really expensive.
Mm.
But again, the magic standard's good because you could go really cheap for a bigger block. Keep them at 12 points with a hand weapon, the shield, and take the Razor standard on them.
Yeah, because strength 4 is really nice.
Strength 4 armor piercing.
Who doesn't like that?
That's quite solid, isn't it? That makes quite a solid block.
Strength 4 does mean that you don't have to worry about taking a great weapon to up your strength.
No. You know, there's going to be stuff you struggle with, but you could supplement that with Infernal Castellans in the units, or you could supplement it with some of your shock units, maybe the Bull Centaur Renders, Taurox, things like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to touch briefly on their special rules as well. So we give them 2 special rules because of the Resolute special rule.
Yeah, because that sucks.
Because in the nicest way possible, it does suck. So realistically, they all should get a 3 if we're going completely by the book on our rating
because
system.
Relentless and Contempt are both pretty good.
They're supposed, but then
consistent special rules.
So, but Resolute is a bad rule, so we do take 1 off their special rules score for that.
This is the joy of a rating system. We sort of you design something that's meant to cover
everything,
16 armies and however many units are in each, and then you just find those small things that you think we do need to do something about that.
So yeah, you do. They are. So it's down to it's our discretion. Obviously, if you don't want it, you can rate them 16.
You can rate them 16,
which is, to be honest, a ludicrous score for a core unit.
Yeah, I think
really
they are decent. They're just expensive.
They are. So that's one of the to let Randy off, I put the band here. They are dwarfs, so movement 3 is obviously an issue for them as well. That's still movement 3.
Can take banner and plus on movement though. Standard swiftness, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Banner
swiftness. And as James said, once you start taking the upgrades on them, they get ridiculously expensive.
The saving grace though, their core, you got to take some.
Yes.
So you don't mind as much when they're core.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's enough waxing on those guys. We're going to move on to our second and last core choice in the book, which is Hobgoblin Cutthroats. And they get a competitive rating of 9 out of 24.
Oh, my poor boys. I like these guys.
Bit of a drop off, if I'm honest. We get them with a 1 for strength of attacks, 1 for the number of attacks, 1 for special rules, 2 for command options, 1 for survivability, and 3 for cost.
Yeah, I completely agree on 3 for cost.
They cost 4
4
points.
points. Now, they're not the cheapest of that type of regiment.
No.
But you can really exploit them in an army that's packed full of expensive stuff
Okay.
and that wants big anvil blocks.
They are the true horde of your army, and it's something that regular dwarves don't have access to, if I'm honest.
Ooh.
These guys you can just use as the meat shields. And then, as James said, they're very easy to spam out and make your army surprisingly large for a Chaos Dwarf army.
Yeah, and again, am I right in thinking, because I'm going to rely on the forces of chaos to tell me this, I'm right in thinking they can use my general's leadership as
Yes,
well.
they can.
So they can be leadership 10, very big, cheap block. Imagine 40 or 50, 200 points.
I see you use the 40 as a minimum.
Yeah, and then you run them in the bus, with the classic bus. We talk about this all the time.
Literally got here, the cheapness combined with naturally higher leadership with the general means that a bus of them should stick around in combat for a while.
Yeah, they really will.
Their specials are situational though. So they do have a couple. They have Hobgoblin Animosity.
Terrible.
It's not the same as regular Animosity.
No.
So if you are within 6 inches of a Chaos Dwarf unit, which is Bull Centaurs or Chaos Dwarves or the Generals,
They behave.
they behave themselves. But if you're not, I think you automatically just fail the Animosity and you roll on the Animosity table.
Yep, I'm going to try and find
Either way, going. This book is also really badly
Sorry,
set
guys.
out.
I should have put a lot of.
No, it's
No.
after the Dreadquake. I mean, it's after the Dreadquake. There should be a page. There we go.
There we go. So Hobgoblin Animosity, as Max said, unless a Hobgoblin unit is already in combat, fleeing, under 5 models strong, or a Chaos Dwarf or Bull Centaur unit is in 6, you must roll a d6 and consult the table below. Roll separately for each affected unit. So on a roll of a 1, we'll get a better view from further back. The Hobgoblin's natural cowardice comes into the fore, and they immediately must take a panic test. If this is passed, the unit may act normally. Now, I've got to be honest, that's fine, because they'll use the General's leadership for that, if they're within 12 of the General.
Yep.
So
honestly,
or 18 if he's on the
big cow.
If he's on the cow. So
honestly,
not
if
that
you
bad.
look at like regular Orcs and Goblins Animosity, and you roll a 1 for their Animosity, but you compare it to this one, it's really not bad at all.
No. Cut 'em good is 2 to 5. The Hobgoblins feel they have a good chance of being on the winning side and eating well tonight of the battle's victims. They may act normally this turn. So again, vast majority of the time, it's not going to have really any major impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 is bloody murder. One of the constant petty squabbles in the ranks is settled with a twist of a knife in the back or 2. The unit suffers D3 wounds distributed as from a shooting attack. Afterwards, they gain +1 to hit rolls for this turn only and may again be used normally. I mean, that's really good as well. I mean, this is not a bad table. I'm sorry.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Just don't roll a 1.
Just
and
don't
you'll
roll a
be
1.
laughing.
Don't roll a 1. Stay within 6 inches of your Chaos Dwarf units. If you're not, don't roll a 1. If you roll a 1, don't fail a panic test with a reroll.
Yeah, and that's within 12 of a general, or 18 if he's on the cow.
Yeah.
And then I've got to stop calling it a cow. It's the
Battlesaurus, yes.
Yeah. And then their second special is backstabbers.
This is actually this is a good rule, to be honest.
Yeah, it's alright. If a Hobgoblin infantry unit with the backstabber special rule is at least 10 models strong and successfully restrains itself from pursuing an enemy that has broken in close combat, it immediately causes D6 strength 3 hits on the fleeing unit before it moves for every 10 full models in the Hobgoblin unit.
Yeah. So you cause D6 strength 3. If you break an enemy in combat with your Hobgoblins and the enemy runs away and you restrain yourself from pursuing, you would cause D6 hits at strength 3 for every 10 Hobgoblins you have in your Hobgoblin unit.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's good when you got 1 or 2 models left. You actually are thinking, well, I can not get out of position, which is great because I might not want to pursue over, and I can still kill that 1 or 2 enemy models potentially.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
It's good. It's a good rule. So they're not outstanding. They're situational sometimes. And if I'm honest, the animosity isn't all that bad. If you roll a 6, that's pretty good, to be honest. Weapon skill 3?
Weapon skill 3 as well, which is excellent because the regular goblin is 2. Strength 3, toughness 3. I mean, they're basically men of the Empire.
They are men of the Empire.
They're just initiative 2 instead of initiative 3.
They come with throwing knives as standard.
And light armour.
They have a lot of good options as well.
And half a point, they can have a shield. Half a point. Yeah. We're in Skaven slave territory.
We are in Skaven slave territory.
Half a point. Well, I mean, we're not that cheap, but Clan Rats this sort of price.
Yeah, this sort of price now, yeah.
Yeah, I think these are good. They can take bows, they can take additional hand weapons for half a point, a bow for 1 point, and they can take full command as well.
I love their champion's called a murder boss.
Yeah, and again, the full command is only 22 points. So I save 8 points on the command, which is amazing as well, because, you know, every other type of unit like that, generally, I'll have to spend 10 points. You take a goblin unit, I'll have to spend 10 points a model.
And as we said earlier on with special rules, all Chaos Dwarves have contempt for them.
Yeah.
So if they do pan, if you do lose your hobgoblins, Chaos Dwarves don't care.
They don't care.
So the taxes I see a lot of is that a lot of people put the hobgoblin cutthroats in front of their Chaos Dwarf units. Someone charges a hobgoblin unit, the hobgoblins will flee through the Chaos Dwarves. They don't care. They're cheap enough that you don't particularly care about the points for them, possibly. And then you can't. There's too far away to redirect into the Chaos Dwarves. It gives you another turn of shooting out the unit.
Could do the double flee like that as well. I think that's better with the wolf type stuff.
It's better with the hobgoblin cards on wolves. We will discuss those in our army list, but yeah,
I like them with bows as well, to be honest.
Basic skill 3.
Yeah, I just think it's another thing that I'm shooting, and alright, it's not that great, but I can shoot it at chaff, and actually that's saying Chaos Dwarves don't have the most obvious answers for.
You chuck enough stuff at a barn, it will hit, and then some of it will get through.
Yeah, well, I think they're pretty good. I know that 9 is, you know, not stellar, but it's a job thing again. It's a giving them a job, and that job is to be a block that holds your
hold your army on like sort of the back, so make it so something gets stuck in combat for a while.
To be the bus.
To be the bus.
So that other things can troop into the side.
So, from the core section, that was very quick, we're going to move into our special section, and we're going to start off with the Infernal Ironsworn. And these are the elite versions of Infernal Guard. And they get a competitive rating of 15 out of 24.
Yeah.
And it's a high score for a unit you never really see at all. You hardly see Chaos Dwarves, you never see Infernal Ironsworn.
Look, this is one of those problems. But
before we get into that, let's find out what causes the rating to be that good. So, we get there with 3 for strength of attacks. We get 1 for number of attacks, 2 for special rules again, 4 for command options, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost.
Yeah, this is the thing. There's a lot of stuff in this book that's expensive.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff in this book that's strong and expensive. And we know that the Chaos Dwarves themselves are not that manoeuvrable.
No.
So building a combat army is not so good. These are a real combat unit.
They
really are.
Only combat unit, because they have no options apart from full command.
Yeah, they are a real combat beatdown unit.
So the good of this unit, they come stock with ensorcelled hand weapons.
They do.
Which it gives you +1 strength and magical attacks. And unlike a Chaos Warrior ensorcelled weapon, it allows you to parry.
It does. So they've got a 3 up and a parry. And a 5 up against flaming.
And strength 5.
And strength 5. And weapon skill 5.
And weapon skill 5. They are pretty good. If they are in combat, they will put hurt on something.
Yes.
They will put hurt. But then the first bad thing you should notice is they cost 17 points a model.
It's just so expensive.
17 points a model.
Yeah.
You get an Infernal Guard, the core version, with a Fireglade for that point. You get a Chaos Warrior with a great weapon for 2 points cheaper.
4 Hobgoblin Cutthroats.
4 Hobgoblin Cutthroats for that. It's so expensive.
And we all know, you know, from a competitive point of view, generally, it's not hard and fast, but generally you want a unit probably around the 25 to 40 marker.
Yes.
Depending on what you're trying to do. These guys are quite survivable. I think they'd do quite well in the 24. In the sort of 24 type bracket, 6x4. I think they can do quite well in the 7x4 type shape. But I'm spending suddenly we are a lot of points.
You are in fully upgraded Warriors of Chaos territory at this point in time. But the Warriors of Chaos come out of your core. These come out of your special.
Yeah, and these only move 3 again.
They only move 3 again because they are still a dwarf, and they compete with a lot of all your special options. And there are a couple of really good special options in this book.
I just think it comes down to where do you spend your points. That's their problem. Because they're expensive, they're a big chunk of points. When you start comparing them to what else you can get for their points, they don't really stack up all that well, unfortunately.
They don't really stack up. So unfortunately, they got a good score, but you don't see them because of where they are.
15's moderate. It's a good all round unit. You're never going to be hurt for putting them in, but you might find, you know, that you're not winning games that you could win because you've got these guys. But you're probably not losing games because you've got these guys because they don't run. They're tough. Putting Infernal Casting in, they're stubborn. They're pretty hard then. So
if you're building your army around it, you really do have to build your army solidly around these guys. But you're missing out on Magma Cannons, Death Shriekers.
You're building to survive rather than building to kill.
Win, yeah.
That's it, I think. And if you're playing 100-point victory point gaps, if you're playing kind of standard rulebook missions, then I see these guys a lot better than I see them in a 20-0 scoring system, if I'm honest.
So we're going to move from them, and we're going to move into the Bull Centaur renders, which come with a competitive rating of 15 out of 24 again. We get there with 2 for strength of attacks, 3 for number of attacks, 1 for special rules, 4 for command options, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost. And we've given them shields.
Yes.
We have given them shields straight off the bat because they have a ridiculous save. They have heavy armour and scaly skin 5+.
Yeah, so you get 2 up save with shield.
2 up save with shield. The shield is 5 points a model, which is really expensive for a shield, if I'm honest.
It certainly is, but it is definitely...
it's worth the points.
If you're going to invest 40 points in a model initially,
yes,
which is a lot for what they are, then I think you need the shield.
So this is a contentious unit for a lot of people. You either really like them or you just really don't like them. I'm on the camp that I think they are... I like them. I think they have some options and they have some uses in a castle farm.
This is going to be interesting because I'm on the opposite end of the camp. I just don't think they're very good. No, I don't think they're very good.
So I'm in the former camp, James in the latter.
So let's thrash it out.
Yeah, so I'll concede a point. They only have 2 attacks a model.
That's huge for me.
So they're a monstrous infantry unit that only has 2 attacks a model. Granted, they do have a stomp, and they're strength 4, and they can take great weapons. So you can, if you do hit with those attacks, you can make them stick. But it's only 2 attacks.
My problem is, genuinely, this is my actual problem with these guys. There's a few things that really stand out. The number of attacks is Max has covered, so I'll cover my other issue, and my other issue is twofold. The first one is movement 7.
Movement 7. Yeah.
He's fast for castles, but it's not really fast for what they are, which is sort of cavalry, if you like.
It's the same speed.
They're monstrous beasts, aren't they? But you would use them in that shock. You can use them in that block roll or that shock roll. I think they're probably gonna. I don't know because Max has not shown me the scores, but I imagine they'll come out better in the block roll because they're not really manoeuvrable enough for the shock roll. But you'll probably have to think about them that way too.
So
there's not a lot of manoeuvrability in the book.
Obviously, they are. When you see like they're in the same sort of category as say like Demigriffs, Skull Crushers, Mournfang. They're the lower end of that category.
Very much so.
But you can still, if you want to, as a push, you can use them in your battle line rolls.
Which I think they're probably going to do better for you in, if I'm honest. I think the other issue I have with them is this may be equipped with.
Yeah.
Is my issue. So it's maybe equipped with one of the following. It's spears. Additional hand weapons, great weapons, right? So spears are completely
it's a trap.
Irrelevant.
It's a trap. They're not cavalry, so they don't get +1 on the charge, plus the strength on the charge, but they get an additional rank's worth of attacks.
Which is great because I've got to spend 900 points on a unit now to make that worth doing.
So spears are a trap. So never take spears.
We'll slide that to the side. Great weapons, 10 points. Very expensive. To make them strength 6.
Yes.
They're initiative 3 as well, so I feel like I'm missing out a little bit there because they're actually moderately
quick for a dwarf.
But okay, we can look past that and say great weapon's not a bad choice. But 50 points a model, and then I can give them a shield so that they get not shot, don't lose too many to shooting with the great weapon. But I'm only 3 up armor, which toughness 5 3 up armor. I'll probably get away with that. It's probably not a bad choice.
Not a bad shout.
Additional hand weapon just takes them up to the attacks value they should have, which I then pay 5 points for. And again, we have the same issue with the shield scenario. I just
they're a weird unit.
I don't like any of the options. Do you see what I mean? Like I don't like them without a specialist weapon. I don't like them with a hand weapon because they're only strength 4 and I've paid a lot of points for them. I don't particularly like them with the great additional hand weapon because they lose some survivability and I've paid a lot of points for them. I like them with the great weapon, but they go last and they lose some survivability, and I pay a lot of points.
It's error. You take something to offset one of the bads from the original bit, but then you give yourself a bad from this new bit.
That's basically how I feel about them. Yes, weapon skill 4 is very average as well.
Yeah. So that's bad of them. You do get the good side of it. They do have a 50-point magic banner allowance.
Yes.
Which is ridiculous for a unit. This unit, you would have thought this unit would have a 50-point magic banner allowance.
And this is the thing. This is where I do see your argument because you put the banner of swiftness on them.
The banner of swiftness, you put the banner of razor
standard on them. Both very good. Obviously very good choices. And again, razor standard, additional hand weapon. That's not bad. Banner of swiftness.
Movement 8.
Great weapon, that's helpful.
So the 50-point magic banner does kind of offset, but you are then spending another 50 points on this unit on top of things. So 10 or 12 points for the actual standard itself?
It's 10 for the standard, and then 10 for the Bahal. And then 5 for the musician. So let's save a bit on the musician, which is nice. I'd probably always take a musician for that.
Yeah.
But I will say this, they're monstrous beasts, not monstrous cav.
Yeah.
So they don't get Swift Stride.
They don't get Swift Stride, no.
That's massive.
Monstrous Beasts don't get Swift Stride?
No. Beast and Ogre don't get Swift Stride.
Oh, I'm trying to think why Sabertooth get Swift Stride, but they have it in their rules.
Well, they might do. They're war beasts though, aren't they?
No, they're monstrous beasts, so they get stomps.
So would Tusk get a stomp? I don't think they do.
No,
I don't believe
either way, James quickly.
I'm going to quickly check, but
most people use this because you have to take a unit of these to take the Bull Centaur Torok.
Oh no, monstrous beasts have the Swift Stride special.
Okay, so
I can only apologise.
So they do get Swift Stride.
Oh, maybe war beasts.
Or I don't know.
No, maybe they're monstrous infantry. What's it? So they do get their Swift
Stride,
which is helpful.
Which does help.
That was well worth checking.
But as I just said, most people do take them purely to take the Bull Centaur Torok, which is amazing.
The Torok is really good, and that completely changes their viability for me, and that's why I would probably just take the defendy option with the shield, and let the Torok do the
heavy look.
Yeah.
Because the Torok is amazing. Briefly, it's like weapon skill 5, strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, gets 1 up armor save for pennies.
Yeah, he's solid. He's really good.
So most people use a Bull Centaur Render unit as a bunker for their Torok.
Yes.
So that's it. So they're a bit
Torok delivery system.
I think I actually call it a Torok delivery system later on in deep dive. So we'll talk about it later on. But yeah, so a lot of people don't like them. Some people do like them. I quite like them because the models for them are fantastic.
The models are incredible. Yeah.
The models for them are fantastic, but they do have their downsides.
Yep.
Speaking of downsides, we're going to move into Kadai Fireborn, who get a rating of 14 out of 24. They get that score for 3 for strength of attacks, 3 for the number of attacks, 2 for special rules, 1 for command options, 4 for survivability, which isn't too bad, and 1 for cost. The first of the Kadai units in the army, because there are 2, and it is a letdown. They have a few good rules, namely they are unbreakable, they have blazing body, so everyone in base contact at the beginning of combat, including friendlies, suffer a strength 4 hit, and they also have to reroll, so enemy units that don't have magical attacks have to reroll successful wounds against them.
So these things help with their toughness of 4.
Yeah.
And their very unimaginative lack of saving throws. Are they 5 plus ward save? 4 plus ward save?
4 plus ward save.
Sorry, yeah, they are 4 plus ward save. That's not too bad.
Bound Fire Demon, I think it's a Bound Fire Demon rule, gives them a 4 up ward save and a 2 up ward save against flaming.
Yeah, I mean, that's helpful, but 2 wounds, 2 attacks.
2 wounds is weird. 2 wounds is weird. And then they have Burning Bright, which is the rule why no one ever takes these guys. So from the start of from turn 3 onwards.
So that's FAQ'd, in case you're reading the book.
Yeah.
Start of your turn 3, that's when you roll it.
So I think, because the book said from turn 2 onwards.
Yeah, but it meant after turn 2, apparently.
So start of turn 3, every unit Kadai has got to take a toughness test. You roll a toughness test per unit Kadai you have. If you fail it, the unit will then take D3 wounds with no saves of any kind allowed. So
statistically, a Kadai dies if you fail it, because they take 2.
They have 2 wounds, which is really low for a monstrous infantry unit. 2 attacks is, again, really low for a monstrous infantry unit. Their strength 5, which is nice.
Yeah, that is. And the initiative 4 is nice. There's some synergy there with small unit, so that you can, I'd maybe even think about darting them, getting them in with some great weapon dwarves, and stealing the regen off something.
Yeah, because they do have flame attacks as standard because they are Bound Fire Demon.
But the lack of attacks there really hurts.
What also doesn't help them out is the fact that they themselves are not magical. So they can be tied up by ethereal units.
Yeah, which is weird. They're 55 points a model as well. Can we just take a moment to talk
expensive.
About that?
Too many points. And again, the flaming attacks means if you do fight a character with a 5-point magic item, you're going to be stuck around for a while. And
they're monstrous infantry as well.
They are monstrous infantry as well.
Which means there's no Swift Stride. This one definitely is.
There is no Swift Stride, otherwise Ogres would have Swift Stride.
They would. Now, if the naming of something in this unit was a criteria, they would get a full 24 out of 24, as their champion is called a Man Burner.
The Kadai Man Burner. And he's the only command option you have for the unit. In
my head, though, that means that he can't burn Elspeth von Draken. She is no man.
It's like Witch King all over again.
It is, yeah. Take a Man Burner.
But no, so it's a really bad unit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, such lovely models, but
we're just going to move on because we're just being negative, and we don't like to do that.
We don't like to be negative here, and we're going to move on because that concludes Battleline Units.
Yep, it does.
So, which surprised me with how many there actually are. I thought there was a lot less Battleline Units.
It's because you don't see a lot.
You don't see a lot of it in the book. We're going to move into a section which is usually the busiest for a lot of armies, but again, it's a very lackluster section for Chaos Dwarves. There aren't that many. We have the returning Bull Centaur Renders. And this is the flanking unit roll, by the way.
Cool.
There you go.
Thanks.
There you go.
I was like, what section?
You're going to pick me up on that one. So it's the flanking unit section now. So we have Bull Centaur Renders, which are returning, with the Iron Demon War Engine with the Skullcracker upgrade.
Ooh.
The infamous Kadai Destroyer.
He is infamous.
And the Chaos Siege Giant, which not a lot of people remember is actually a part of this army list.
Yeah, that was fun.
The Chaos Dwarf Siege Giant. So we're going to start with Bull Centaur Renders in a flanking role, and they come with a competitive rating of 13 out of 24. And they get there with, again, 2 for strength of attacks, 3 for the number of attacks, 1 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability this time, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost. We give them the shields again, and as is the case with a lot of our deep dives, any monstrous beast or monstrous carry unit that we stick in battle line usually does a lot worse in flanking.
Yeah, it often does. It's just that manoeuvrability thing. So many that they're really slow again, and these guys get the really good magic banner, so they lose.
There maybe should be a 2 for manoeuvrability because they got Swift Stride.
Oh yeah.
Maybe should have given them 2.
That would help them for a point.
So they probably got to 14.
Point. Yeah. In this role, they are the Torok delivery system, though.
They are the Torok delivery system.
You just want to get them in the side with the Torok. The Torok makes way, and he's like, aha, you had figures.
Cracked knuckles.
That's nice. Hoof.
Hoof to face.
Hoof to face.
But again, they don't have the speed or the movement rule, apart from Swift Stride, to make a good flanking unit.
It's a tactical thing with these guys. You got to position them slowly and steadily so that as stuff comes into your battle line, here you go. So as stuff comes into your battle line, these guys are positioned to try and sweep the flank, rather than going out in a more traditional aggressive role and trying to sort of keep these guys manoeuvring to score in.
Yeah.
You actually want to play like more counter-chargey if you're going to use them as a flanker, because they're not that quick.
It's not that quick as a flanker, no.
But they can be turned into, because of the render and because of the magic standard options.
They still keep all their magic. They still keep all their command. We just don't race it in a flanking role.
Yeah, because of the Torok, sorry.
The Torok, yeah.
And because of the magic standard options, they can be turned into a bit of a speed hump unit, where you push them up, put them into saying they've got toughness 5, 2 up armor save, 3 wounds each. Now they're quite good. Now then they're playing that grind out game with the Torok.
Would they keep their parry save because they're monstrous beasts, they're not monstrous cavalry?
I think only infantry units can parry.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. But again, I can check that. I'll check that between sections.
We'll check that between sections. Yeah.
But yes, ultimately they can be a good speed hump because they're very hard to get through all those wounds. Very hard.
Especially if you've got a Torok in the unit as well.
And then the Torok does the killing. So that's quite a strong way of using them. It's a bit of a hybrid of battle line and flanking together. But you sort of push them out and pin something up and do some big damage.
So you can use them flanking, but really you should probably start them off in a battle line role, and as the game goes on and your units start to engage, then hit them in the flanks.
Yeah, think of them more as battle line primarily, I think.
Yeah. So then we're going to move into the probably most iconic in the new Chaos Dwarf units, which is the Iron Demon War Engine with the Skullcracker upgrade, which comes with a competitive rating of 19 out of 24.
Yeah, I don't really know why people dislike it so much.
So he gets there for 4 for strength of attacks, 4 for the number of attacks, because it has a weird way of attacking again, 3 for special rules, 2 for manoeuvrability, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. And then when you describe this model to someone who doesn't play Chaos Dwarves before, it's so weird to describe it. Because, in all honesty, it's a train.
It's a choop-choop.
It is literally a choo-choo train. And has a vast raft of special rules that I'll get James to read in a minute. And obviously, I've got to talk about the fact I've given it the Skullcracker upgrade. Not a lot of people take Skullcracker upgrade, but it comes with a steam cannonade. But I'll give it the Skullcracker because if you're using it flanking, you're probably not going to be shooting it all that much. So you're better off giving it the most combat-y upgrade it can take.
Yeah, it gives you some options. I think you can also, its rating probably wouldn't change a great deal if you. Do you have to purchase?
You have to buy the Skullcracker.
Yeah, so you could just leave the steam cannonade on and just not really use it.
The steam cannonade is an option for it. And to be honest, even without the Skullcracker, it's still pretty good in flanking.
The Skullcracker makes it even better at flanking, doesn't it?
So we'll go with James, and he's going to read us some special rules out for this model here.
Right, I'll read you the list of special rules, guys. In fact, I'm going to read you some of its stats to go with these. To really impact how it works. So its movement base value is 6.
It actually has a movement value.
It's a unique unit as well, which means that it isn't a chariot.
It can march.
It can march. It's a strength of 8, it has a toughness of 7, it has 7 wounds, it has a 3+ armour save, and then it's got some dwarf crew on it, but they can't be attacked separately, so they're pretty irrelevant. It's a leadership of 9, but it's pretty irrelevant as well, because it is unbreakable. It causes terror, it is a large target, it is lumbering and unstoppable, it has impact hits d6 plus 2, more on this later. It has carriage hauler and demolition.
Yeah, there's a lot. So just off the bat, unbreakable without unstable, as we all know, is solid. It is super good.
Yeah, I mean that's top tiering, and that's one of the reasons it's scoring so well here, is because it's not giving away its victory points very easily.
It's not, no. And then the other rules it does have add on to its usefulness.
Do they ever? So, sorry, it's got Ironhide is what gives it a 3 armor save.
Ironhide.
Other Transformers are available. Lumbering and unstoppable. The Iron Demon is a mighty, smoke-belching powerhouse. Slow but incredibly hard to stop. It may move normally up to its movement distance and fire its weapons without penalty whilst doing so. So it can move and shoot without penalty. It is BS 3, so not
by that wording, it can march and shoot then as well.
No, because it says it may move normally, and a march is not a normal move. Alternatively, it may choose to engage its steam boiler power and move faster, but this is hardly a precise art. In this case, rather than using normal rules for charging or marching, roll 2d6, and unless a double 1 is rolled, add this number to the Iron Demon's movement score for the total distance travelled.
So you're 2d6 plus 6.
The Iron Demon moves this distance forward in a straight line and may not turn or wheel as it does so. If double 1 is rolled, something has gone wrong and the Iron Demon does not move this turn. If charge is being attempted, this must be declared as normal before the extra movement amount is rolled. And if failed, simply move the Iron Demon forward the rolled distance instead. So that's quite good.
Yeah.
If the total movement would bring the Iron Demon into contact with a unit unintentionally, roll for impact hits as normal. The Iron Demon does not count as charging if the unit is an enemy, and it gains the always strikes.
The crew gains always strikes last.
No, it says the Iron Demon does not count as charging if the unit is an enemy, and its enemy gains the always strikes first special rule.
Yes, there you go.
Against it for the first turn of combat, owing to the confusion aboard. If by some error it strikes a friendly unit, resolve the impact hits, then move the Iron Demon back an inch. In each round of ongoing combat after the first, the Iron Demon makes thunderstomp attacks, exactly like a monster, to reflect it grinding over its victims with bulk and power. Iron Demons cannot overrun or pursue in combat if they are destroyed. If they destroy or rout their foes.
Again, it's really poorly worded.
It's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
So let's unpack it a little bit. Basically, you can choose to add 2d6 to your 6-inch movement, or you can choose to march 12, or you can choose to charge and act normally.
Charge normally, to be honest.
Or you can choose to move 6 plus 2d6,
and then possibly count as
a charge. So,
it's a weird one.
I'm not really sure when that would be better than charging normally, but there might be a time where you would go, oh, actually, if I do this, I can make it, but I can't normally.
There's some probably those weird and wonderful circumstances in which charging...
Actually, I'll tell you when.
Oh.
When you move a unit that's in front of it out of the way first.
Yeah.
Because that's not a compulsory move. It's done in the remaining moves.
No, it's done in remaining moves.
So you move a unit out of the way, and then you can cannonade into the side of it.
Yeah.
And again, you're quite tough. You've got good save, lots of wounds, so you don't really care if they get ASF. So that's good. It thunderstomps every turn. Very good. And I'm going to go on to the Skullcracker actually in a minute, as we because that kind of ties in nicely with the lumbering and unstoppable stuff.
You keep wanting to say lumbering behemoth, don't you?
I do, yeah, but that's the steam tank, isn't it?
I think it's the steam tank, yeah.
So it cannot pursue or overrun. Now that is the same as the steam tank. If it destroys or routs its foes, but I mean it's a small price to pay for.
The unstoppableness that is
for the rest of it. Now the Skullcracker, which is what Max has added to this one's thing, is designed for crushing fortifications and walls. The Skullcracker is a hissing and grinding arcane mechanical conglomeration of iron hammers, hacking blades, and brutal picks, designed literally to pulverise and shred anything unfortunate enough to be caught in the front of the machine. When conducting its impact hits or thunderstomp, you roll 2d6 instead of the usual d6 for the number of hits.
So your impact hits become 2d6 plus 2.
Yep.
And your thunderstomp becomes 2d6 and 2d6 thunderstomps.
And then it says, in the case where buildings can be, in a case of a scenario where buildings can be destroyed, The Skullcracker gains +1 bonus to wound rolls against buildings or fortifications.
Not a lot of people use those rules anyway.
No. Now, the thing here, from a competitive standpoint, is that it means it's Thunderstomping 2d6, and it means that it's... it means that it's impact hitting 2d6 +2. These are incredible things.
Yeah.
This can really roar out the damage. You do have to be super careful about it getting charged, though,
Yes.
by
Cavalry.
cavalry.
Like I say, 5 Believer and Reavers.
Yeah, because the crew only confer you 3 strength, 3 weapon skill, 4 attacks. So if it gets charged by cavalry, that's all you can do, because you can't Thunderstomp cavalry, and you're not doing your impact hits.
No.
This is why I think you see it less, because people look at the points cost, which is what is it when it's Skullcracker?
315 points.
It's quite a lot. It's very good, but it's quite a lot of points, and I think they just decide that the artillery is more consistently reliable.
Yes, because you swap out the steam cannonade for the Skullcracker. You don't get to keep the
you
steam
don't
cannon.
shoot if you do this.
So it is a risk to take it with the Skullcracker, and it's a risk. To be honest, it's a risk to take it in general because of the fact you can just be stopped by 5 Illyrian Reavers, or say Marauder Horsemen, or any of those other cheap Wolf Riders. Of all things, Wolf Riders as well.
But again, I do look sometimes and think, why would I not keep it tucked in my units? Like
And just shoot.
I don't have to move this thing.
No, it's not
Like,
random.
This is the thing. I do see people that take them complain. They go billowing off up the table. Whoop whoop. Great. I love that. But then it's isolated and it gets charged by a bit of cavalry or something. You know, a bit of monstrous infantry or monstrous beast, and it's done for.
This is what it has over the steam tank, is the fact it doesn't have to move. It has a movement value. It's not random movement. It has a movement value.
No, it doesn't. So you just leave it where it is, and then it becomes a single piece that you can pivot and move how you want, realistically.
Because it's still a single model. You can turn it as many times as you want in a movement phase.
I can bump that special rule over to get 3 charges I wouldn't normally be able to get, which is amazing, which means I can protect it myself.
From cavalry charge.
And I can use it as a counter charge. And this is where I think the Skullcracker becomes the not great choice.
Yes.
Because I'd rather have the steam cannonade, and I know we're going to talk about that in shooting, but this is a difficult unit to put into a bracket, this one.
Because even with the steam cannonade, it does combat quite well.
Well, we've seen it can do the combat stuff good. The steam cannonade, we'll cover that now, is a weapon that can be fired at a target directly ahead of the Iron Demon. Uses the following profile, and it's 18 inch range, strength 6, armor piercing, multiple wounds, D3. The selected targets, as per the normal rules for shooting, and roll 2 artillery dice, picking the highest, to determine how many shots. Well, actually, it says picking the better result.
Yeah.
Randomly. This means the weapon will only misfire if a double misfire is rolled.
You roll 2 misfires.
Assuming a misfire does not occur, roll to hit the target with a number of shots equal to the highest number on the 2 dice. So what's good about that? It's not multiple shots weapon. So I'm not suffering the penalty for multiple shots.
That's not multiple shots, is it?
No. And I'm not suffering the penalty for moving and shooting, because we just talked about lumbering.
Yep. So the only penalty you are suffering is long range.
Long range.
And you do suffer long range because it is only 18 inch range.
But again, I can troop it forward a little bit, because I don't have to go blaring off up the table.
No, you just move it 6
do
inches
the damage, counter charge. I like this.
The steam cannon is multiple wounds D3 and armor piercing, and strength 6 means there's not a lot in the game that doesn't fear getting shot by this thing.
No, it's good against a lot of stuff.
So Frost Art Phoenixes, all the monsters.
All your monstrous infantry terrified of it.
Monstrous infantry, ogres hate it.
Knights, -40, say?
Knights will hate it. The only things that I'm particularly scared of it because of their sheer toughness is stuff like Kemrian War Sphinxes and stuff like that, because they are toughness 8.
They are, but the multiple wounds is still quite
The
scary.
multiple wounds is still scary, but it is good. And it has a couple of other funky other rules. It has demolition, which means I think it just basically means it doesn't get slowed by obstacles that are smaller than it.
Low or comparably flimsy obstacles, such as walls, hedges, lightwoods, shacks, privies, and piles of rubble, have little chance of impeding an Iron Demon.
Shacks and privies!
As such, obstacles are ignored for movement and combat by the Iron Demon. Now that's really good, ignored for movement and combat, because you can just choop for a wall into combat, which is quite dirty. Furthermore, if a suitable sized chunk of this type of terrain can be removed from the battlefield after the Iron Demon has run through it, do so.
He just gets taken off the board. Did it say wood?
It did say wood. Light woods. As opposed,
What's a light wood?
I don't know. One that's made of balsa, maybe? That's a light wood.
Just take the forest off the board.
Yeah, I guess so.
You just take forest off the board.
All forms of marsh and water terrain, however, are impassable for the Iron Demon. They're simply too heavy to cross them and sink, becoming helplessly mired.
Yeah, so obviously it's a steam engine, so if you do get water in it, it will just go out.
Bloop.
Bloop. Glub, glub.
That's pretty cool.
It's unique. It's a situational rule.
Yeah.
You don't honestly play sometimes with walls and hedges and privies and shacks. Man's just trying to use his toilet. He gets run over by the steam train.
I love it. Does that mean you can drive through the Wood Elves free wood and just be like, your wood's gone that way?
Rules is written. Yes.
Well, is that a light wood? That's
is
the
it
question.
a light wood? I mean,
this is classic. Carriage hauler is its next special rule and its final one that we're going to discuss.
This is the one
today.
that ties in with steam carriages.
So it may haul one or more steam carriages. So this was the upgrade for artillery pieces. Weapons mounted on carriages attached to a train may only fire if the Iron Demon is stationary that turn. Mm-hmm. However, I should read the first bit. I thought this was going to be blurred, but it isn't. Right, so it says, if this is the case, they are treated as attached to the Iron Demon model and move as it moves. They must, though, be targeted separately by shooting attacks if they can be seen. If the carriages are charged, then they are attacked separately as normal. But unless the Iron Demon is also engaged, the carriages may not be locked in combat, and the whole train may move on the next turn.
So if you can move it after it gets charged.
Only if you don't charge the train.
The train itself.
If you just charge the carriage. So just charge the train. Although the train then thunderstorms you if you're not.
Yeah.
If the Iron Demon itself or a carriage ahead is in the train is destroyed, any carriages left behind are stranded. Mm-hmm. The Iron Demon may haul a single carriage without a reduction in its movement. If it hauls two carriages, its basic movement is reduced to 3 inches. The Iron Demon may uncouple carriages at the start of any of its... I've got a really itchy end of my nose, sorry. At the end of its movement phase, leaving them behind. The Iron Demon may go on to act normally, but the steam carriage model counts as moving that turn. When uncoupled, the carriage may be deployed facing in any direction the owning player wishes, and the turn... On the turn it is detached. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Steam carriages may not be recoupled during the game. So
a little bit true for this. If you do have the steam carriage models and the train, they do actually couple up.
Do they?
They actually do connect.
That's really cool.
Which is really nice.
So, I mean, look, mixed bag for this one. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I do think that there's an element of the points cost being the thing that holds people back with this.
It is a lot of points. A lot of points put into this model.
It's a big investment, but I do look at it and think, well, if I've got Kodai, if I've got a couple of these tubing with the Kodai Destroyer.
They also got to mention this thing can be hellbound as well.
Oh, it can it?
It can be hellbound. So you can make it tough on a save with 8 wounds.
Certainly can, and then if it misfires, it suffers D3.
But you roll two artillery dice, and if you don't roll double a misfire, you don't misfire.
I would. Yeah, that's strong. It does give it magical attacks though, so I'd probably leave it.
You do get magical attacks from it, but the possibility of having 8 wounds, toughness 8 at 3 up armor save.
Yeah, but maybe if I had 2 or 3, which would be building a whole army around the tubes, I would go for 1 with it.
I think we spoke about this quite a bit.
Yeah, we really have. This.
My closing statement for it is in the case of upgrade, if you don't take the Skullcracker and you keep the Steam Cannon, it is still a pretty expensive unit.
Yeah.
But it's tough to remove from the board, and can be a real headache for your opponent. Plus, who doesn't want to make train noises all game?
I do.
Everyone wants to make train noises.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I've lost count of the times I've fought these, and they've not done a lot because I've managed to get
a cavalry
the cavalry or something like that.
To be honest,
but then I've not got any victory points. The game ends in a draw because I haven't got anything off them. So there's some tactical stuff in there for the Chaos Dwarf player. You're going to have to do some work for it.
You can have a lot of shooting to try and get rid of all those cavalry chaff as well.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, and then it just comes down to other things that can't be stomped.
And so we're going to move into probably the most infamous unit in the book itself, which is the Kodai Destroyer, which in itself again comes with a competitive rating of 19 out of 24.
I really thought it'd be high.
I did as well, but
19's really high.
19 is high, but there are bits and pieces holding it back.
Yep.
So we have 4 for the strength of attacks, 4 for the number of attacks, 3 for the special rules, 2 for maneuverability, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. If you've heard people that have played against Chaos Dwarves, they'll probably tell you all about this absolute monstrosity.
Pop, pop.
doesn't come with train noises.
Everything makes train noises now.
It has a ridiculous amount of attacks because it has 6 attacks base, And it has Frenzy.
It does.
But its Frenzy is D3 additional attacks.
Yeah, it is.
So it can get possible 9 attacks plus a Thunder Stomp.
Yep.
It's Weapon Skill 5.
I know. So
It's
good.
Weapon Skill 5. The only monster that has a higher weapon skill than this is the Frostar.
He is,
which
yeah.
is a stupid weapon skill 6 as it is anyway.
Well, dragons and stuff have higher.
Dragons and stuff, but they're I can pass on dragons because they're like the ancient sort of beasts.
You try and sword fight a dragon.
I'll
say
it. And it also has a ridiculous movement of 9.
That's great. That's what really helps it. Although it does mean it tests quite regularly for frenzy. If
it does have to take the frenzy test. So movement 9 plus it has a 4 ward save.
It does
because it has the cage fire demon. So it has a 2 ward save and it's magic as well. It still has all the die rules. It has the strength 4 hitting everyone in base contacts, including friendlies, but not people that are mounted on people with things with this rule. It has the reroll successful to wounds against it if it's not magical. At toughness 6, you're going to need some magical attack realistically to do it.
100% you are.
The 4 ward save, 2 ward save against flaming. It does still have Burning Bright, so you do have to take a toughness test from turn 3 onwards, but you're toughness 6. You're failing that in 1 in 6 chance.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
All in all, it doesn't have that many downsides as do the Fireborn.
It's a brilliant beast. So it's unstable, unbreakable.
Yeah, well, it has that. I didn't even mention Unbreakable Unstable.
So you've got to beat it in combat. So that is a weakness. Is combat resolution, like in terms of static res units. But you've got to have a seriously good chance of saving against its strength of 7 with its potential 9 attacks. It causes terror.
Mm-hmm.
It's a large target. No, there's where it is. It's got flaming attacks, blazing body, which Max talked about earlier. Bound fire demon for the ward save. It burns bright, and then it has the special frenzy. Its equipment is spite and hellfire. Spite. It's just very unpleasant.
So it does have downsides though. It is 325 points.
It's initiative 5.
Initiative 5 for whatever reason.
It's ace. It's really ace.
325 points is a lot of money. Is a lot of money. A lot of points. It is spenny. But to be honest, you hardly ever see a Chaos Dwarf army that doesn't take one.
For me, it's its points.
Yeah.
I think it's its points.
I think it's slightly too expensive. I can see maybe the 300 point. I think 325 is a bit much, but there is arguments for it. Other bits and pieces it does have. Again, you got to be aware of Dragon Bane Gem and Dragon Helm because it is flaming. You also got to be, as said for the Fireborn, you've got to be careful about ethereal units as well. So it doesn't have magical attacks.
No, it doesn't. But that does mean that Banner the World Dragon is no defense against it.
Banner the World Dragon isn't any concern for you at that point, which is rare for sort of a monster of this caliber to not have magical attacks. So you can go into the Banner of the World Dragon.
Well, yeah, I would think it's a demon, isn't it? It's a sort of bound. It's a bound demon, but it's inside an iron body, so the iron body stops it having the magical.
It was
attack.
an FAQ.
Spicy.
It was an FAQ. Literally, it mentioned this because it's bound within the iron body of the Kadai. It loses the magicalness of it, but it keeps the flaming attacks of it. Also, don't expect it to fight the world and come out on top.
Well, no monster can do that. This is one of the best killing things monsters in the game.
Hey, if you are fighting the ranked up units of like say super hard and stuff like that, back it up with dwarves or some bull centaurs. Give it a bit of backup, and then you're in the money. As I said, don't chuck it up the board. Just don't throw it 18 inches turn 1 up the board into your opponent's like entire army and go, yeah, well let's be having you.
Again, we talked about this earlier, didn't we, with the train? This is where you fall short, is letting stuff get isolated. It is frenzied as well, so it'll get kited if you're not careful. You need to think about your play, and again, you can block the edge of the base off in the first turn with a Khan or something like that, so it doesn't have to sort of go wildly off.
Even then, it's leadership 9, leadership 8. Leadership 8, but then you still have your leadership 10 Chaos Dwarf General.
Potentially, yeah.
So it shouldn't particularly be failing the frenzy test as it was anyway.
This is really, really a strong beatdown monster. It's
up there for one of the best monsters in the game, I think.
Is it 3 for special rules, did you say?
Through 3 for special rules because of the Burning Bright.
We knocked one off for the Burning Bright just because you can kill yourself.
We did see someone kill himself.
I did feel harsh knocking that point off though, because I think it's a beast. I think having the Terror and the Unbreakable and all that stuff, you can decide on that how you will, but I do think that there is always that chance on the last turn when it really matters, you'll kill yourself to the Burning Bright
and give
your opponent 325 victory points.
Yes. So there is that downside to it, but honestly, it's not a 1+, but for a lot of people it is.
It's a very strong monster. It's a very strong monster. It's one of the best monsters in the game. And honestly, if it was 300 points, you'd see 2 in every single 2,500 point competitive Chaos Dwarf army.
I just seen there as well. You have to take a Demon Smith to be able to take one of these.
Yeah. But
so you have to take either the hero level or the only Lord selection you have in your army.
Yeah, that's it really. So it's like if you take a Lord, you can have one, and if you take a hero wizard. So if you want to go no wizard Chaos Dwarves, I know some of you guys do like to do these things. You can, but you can't take a Kadai Destroyer. So
it's a lose-lose at that point, maybe.
For me, it is.
So that's it. I think everyone's heard of the Kadai. We've certainly loved talking about the Kadai. I love the Kadai. It doesn't have a model, so you do have to be a bit creative with what you're making it out of.
We'll try and do a towel on that at some point.
We'll try and do
because you're going to do one.
I will obviously try to make one myself. I have a few ideas of what I'd like to use. There's been some people saying what they've used. I've seen someone use some other bits and pieces, and it looks quite nice. But we'll get into that at a later date. So that's Kadai. We'll get into it. We'll see him. We're probably going to see him later on today as is anyway. So then lastly we have a forgotten unit realistically, is the Chaos Siege Giant. It comes with a competitive rating of 16 out of 24, which is higher for a giant, if I'm honest. A lot of the other giants have been like 14, 15s.
Yeah, well, he's better than a regular giant.
Better than a regular giant, yeah. So he gets it with 4 strength of attacks, 4 for the number of attacks, because as usual, he has a weird number of attacks for a giant, 3 for special rules, 1 for maneuverability, 3 for survivability, and 1 for cost. He is better than a regular giant.
Yeah, he's weapon skill 4 to start with.
Weapon skill 4,
which is nice.
He has an armour. He has armour save in this one.
Does is it 5 plus?
5 plus for shooting,
3 plus in combat.
Yeah, 5 plus for shooting attacks, 3 plus for combat. So your shooting armour isn't going to do much, but if you get into combat with it,
it's frustrating really because you'd like it the other way around.
You like the 5
because you tend to lose them on the way, rather than when they're there.
They have a funky rule which is Wall Ripper.
Yep.
That gives them better. It's that way. No. Oh way.
This way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't keep going. It's in here. Next page. There you go.
Hey, there we go.
And the Wall Ripper's on the other page after that. Honestly, this book's a mess.
Wall Ripper. A Chaos Siege Giant may always choose to attack and destroy buildings regardless of the scenario. And may always choose to assault a building even if it is occupied, potentially bringing down on the top of any unlucky garrison troops inside. A Chaos Siege Giant always attacks a building with the smash with pick attack and need not roll for the random attack type.
Yeah, so the Siege Giant does have an entirely new table of attacks. It doesn't have the regular standard giant attacks, it does have an entirely new table. And some of them are pretty devastating.
It does still fall over as well.
And it also falls over on a 1 or a 2 because the armour makes it a bit more ungainly.
That's quite cool.
So whereas regular giants usually fall over on say a 1 when you have to test, a Chaos Siege Giant will fall over on a 1 or a 2.
Right. So yeah, it does have a different chart.
It does have a completely different chart.
Do you want me to read the stuff? Let's do a quick.
Let's have a quick review.
Right, man size things. There are 4 options on a roll of a 1. It yells and balls, which is I believe exactly the
exact same.
So you automatically win the combat by 2.
Yep.
On a roll of a 2, you smash with pick.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one it always does against a building.
Yep.
So the giant brings the pick down on the head of an unfortunate victim, most likely leaving little left but a blood red smear. The giant chooses a single model from the enemy unit in base contact. The target must attempt to avoid the blow by passing an initiative test. Test is failed, the model takes 2d6 wounds with no armour save.
Yeah.
If double is rolled, the giant's pick has embedded itself in the ground and the giant cannot attack. It's all in the following round of the same combat.
So 2d6 wounds, no armor saves.
Yep. But only on a single model.
Yeah.
Flail and Crush is
this is the Siege Giant's equivalent of Jump Up and Down.
Oh right, okay. So it's exactly the same.
I think it's slightly different.
Being too heavy to jump up and down,
There you
the Siege Giant, however, does its best to mash anything close underfoot. First test to see if the giant falls over, with any wounds caused from this counting towards combat res. The giant remains on his feet. If the giant remains on his feet, select a target in base contact. The unit sustains D6 Strength 8 automatic hits.
Yeah.
Resolve the wounds and saves as normal. As the armoured bulk of the giant batters them to the ground. And the last one, the 5 or 6 result, is Ripping Blades, which is the enemy, so it says, equipped with massive hooked blades or oversized flowers mounted on bundles of chains. Chaos Siege Giants are equally at home, mashing apart buildings and fortifications as they are sweeping mere mortals into a jumbled heap of torn flesh and broken bones.
They are descriptive for you, aren't they?
They are. I'm going to leave the next sentence. Select a target unit in base contact. The unit suffers 2d6 strength 6 automatic hits, resolve wounds and saves as normal. If a double 6 is rolled, as well as inflicting 12 hits on the enemy, the giant must immediately see if it falls over.
Yeah.
Any further damage done in this way counts towards combat res. Double 1 is rolled, something very unfortunate has occurred. If this happens, no damage is inflicted to the enemy unit. Instead, the giant takes D3 wounds, no saves, and immediately falls over. Any wounds caused by the fall count towards combat res. Whew. Now, the big things chart has leg breaker, smash with pick, and headbutt. So we know what smash with pick does.
Yeah, so 2d6. If you 2d6 wound, I'll say if you fail an initiative test.
That's a 3 to 4 result. So leg breaker, the giant tears the leg off its outside. The giant
tears into the leg of.
Sorry, yep, that sounds good. With the ripping blades and pick, tearing open hamstring muscles, severing limbs, and slamming their foe to the ground. The giant targets a single enemy model in the target unit that is in base contact. The giant and its victim both roll a d6 and add their strength, and for each point by which the giant beats the victim, he inflicts d3 automatic wounds with no armor saves.
I think the giant starts at strength 8. I mean, this one, I think it's a higher strength as well.
It's strength 6.
Strength 6.
Unless his weapons give it.
No, it doesn't have any
strength.
weapons.
No, it doesn't. No, so strength 6. Still very, very scary, that. And then, in addition, regardless of the result, any models other than the giant inflicting the attack in base contact with the victim must pass an initiative test to get out of the way or suffer an automatic wound from the struggling beasts. So that's like anyone around the model. And then the last one is headbutt. The giant targets a single enemy model from the target unit that is in base contact, automatically inflicting a wound with no armor saves. If the victim is wounded but not slain, the victim is dazed and loses their subsequent attacks. If the victim has not yet attacked in that round of combat, they lose their attacks this round. Or if they have already attacked, they lose their attacks next round. Excellent.
Realistically, it's better. Sometimes it's pretty much better against smaller things than it is larger things, unless you roll hit with pick. It has some weird upgrades as well. They're not all that good. Runes of 8 means that it has it always counts as failing a frenzy test. It has the berserk rage.
Yeah, so it has to charge, but in addition, when it's called upon to roll a random number of attacks, you may re-roll the random number.
And it has scaling spikes, which helps against buildings. And if it dies while fighting a building, other models can treat it as like a siege tower and climb up it. So that's the Siege Giant. It's better than a regular Giant. I think it's better than a regular Giant purely because it has an armor save.
Keeps the stubborn, the terror, the large target, and the leadership 10.
Keeps everything like that. It's other than that, just treat it as a regular Giant. Apart from it can take a hit.
And it's really expensive.
And it's 275 points price tag.
Yeah. Leave it at home.
Unfortunately.
Sorry. Just leave it at home.
Well. And that's it. That's it for flankers. We're now done with flankers. We're now gonna. That's very quick. Well, it wasn't too quick. We waxed.
We waxed
Quite lyrically in some of the sections there. We're going to move into a section that people always love when it comes to Chaos Dwarves, and that is their shooting units.
And there are a few, isn't there?
There are a few. And then we have Infernal Guard with blunderbusses.
That's core.
It's core section. The Magma Cannon, the Death Shrieker rocket launcher, the Iron Demon War Engine with a steam cannonade this time. We've already spoken about it. We're going to do it again in shooting. The Dreadquake Mortar and the lovable Hell Cannon.
Max's favourite.
I love Hell Cannons. So we're going to start off with Infernal Guard. I believe they're called Hail Shot blunderbusses.
Hail Shot blunderbusses.
Coming with a competitive rating of 13 out of 24.
Oh dear.
It's not great. So we get that with 1 for threat range, 1 for strength for shots, 3 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost.
You certainly do.
So Hail Shot Blunderbuss has a raft of special rules on this page at the bottom.
It's just so confusing.
Yes. So Hail Shot, it's a weird and wonderful weapon.
Owing to the storm of fire a mass of these weapons creates, the effectiveness is increased the more concentrated their fire. Hail Shot blunderbusses are not subjected to the usual penalties for firing multiple shots. As long as 10 or more models are in the unit and they're firing at the same target, they suffer no penalties for firing at long range or as a stand and shoot reaction either. Mm-hmm. And as long as 20 or more models from this unit are firing at the same target at the same time, they may re-roll failed to wound rolls. So if you've got 20 plus... I'm just going to give everything. You don't suffer multiple shot penalty. You don't suffer long range or stand and shoot penalties. And you re-roll fail to win rolls.
A lot.
It's very good.
If you have the full 20. That's one of the reasons why they got 3 for accuracy, because they're Blitzskill 3 for Chaos Dwarf, and they have 2 rules that, if you have the amount of models, that ignore penalties to shooting.
Now we're going to talk about some things that are less than...
So the actual profile of the gun itself.
Yes, so armor piercing,
all
good. I'm going to try and do good things. Multiple shots 3, they don't suffer the penalties
D3.
for. D3, sorry.
Multiple shots, it's not multiple shots 3.
Sorry.
It's multiple shots D3.
D3, they don't suffer the penalty for. Very good. Strength 3. And
this is the worst offender.
Range 12. We're less than impressed.
That is the worst offender of the lot. No, sorry, it's not the worst. It's the second worst offender. The worst offender being the price tag.
Oh.
The price tag of a Hellshot Blunderbuss, on top of the 12 points you pay for the Infernal Guard, is 6 points.
Oh, it's just so much.
18 points per model. And realistically, if you're taking the Blunderbusses, you want all 3 bonuses. Yes. You're going to take 20, at least 20.
They do keep their shield though, so they are very tough in combat still.
They are still tough in combat, but you've got to take 20. But the 12-inch range means that you are going to be taking possibly taking some casualties on the way in.
Yeah.
So you're going to be wanting to take, say, taking 25 to like 20 between 25 and 30.
The biggest problem with these guys, genuinely, is they only shoot once.
They do only shoot once.
Maybe twice on a good day because they killed the thing they shot at.
I mean, they'll shoot once and then shoot and stand and shoot.
Yeah. If you can put them in a building, really good.
Yeah.
Because they obviously charges are repelled as long as they don't run. They're leadership 9. They're stubborn in a building because everyone is. So that's really good. But you can't guarantee that unless you spend 100 points on Fosric's Folding Fortress.
If a tournament allows Fosric's Folding Fortress.
We do, but we cap 20 men in the building, so you would only have the reroll to wounds like once. So
yeah, if you do get in range with, say, even if you just get the first 2 bonuses, if you do get in range, you are shredding whatever you're hitting, literally in a hail of blunderbuss shot. But you do want to get all 3 bonuses, and to get all 3 bonuses, you're going to need more models than anything else, and it's going to cost you 18 points per model.
Yeah, and that's the problem, really. That's really it. We talked about Fireglaves earlier. You could also use them in a shooting role because they're 18-inch handguns.
Didn't put them in a shooting role because you can. They're also a combat weapon as well. You can put them.
They're a bit of a both job. Probably in a shooting army, they're the way I'd go if I wanted to have some more shooting. Yes, because I've got a good counter-charge punch there as well. Mm-hmm. But I still think great weapons or hand weapon and shield's the best choice. Yeah,
so they're really cool and really like unique in the Warhammer because nothing else is shoots like that. But
in the Warhammer.
in the Warhammer, I think I was supposed to say in the Warhammer world. Yeah. But no, in Warhammer, nothing shoots quite like they do. But they are so many points.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move into the exciting stuff. We're going to start off with the artillery. We're going to artillery camp.
Yeah.
If you imagine here, 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, because there are a lot. So first up, we have the Magma Cannon, and it comes in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24.
Get ready to see the stuff that gets the big numbers, ladies and gentlemen.
And I don't think any piece of artillery outside of Chaos artillery gets these high scores.
I can't remember. I can't remember what the Empire one's got, if I'm honest.
Because the Empire will be the closest you can get to, say, the amount of artillery.
We haven't done the dwarves yet.
We haven't done regular dwarves yet, no. So the Magma Cannon comes with 18 out of 24. It gets 3 for threat range, 2 for strength for shots, 3 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 3 for cost. Starting off a strong, really good war machine.
What did it get 2 for?
2 for strength for shots.
Ah, sorry.
Because it's only strength 5. Only strength 5.
I know. What a shame.
It's a 3 for threat range because it fires like a fire thrower, but over maximum range 24 inches.
Oh, it's so good.
So regular fire throwers, I think, are 12.
There's not I don't think there's a cap range in the rulebook for them, but other armies fire throwers are 12.
So basically, the way a fire thrower works, you measure 12 inches, you place flame temple down, and then you roll your artillery dice, and it goes that much
anywhere
further.
along that 12.
Anywhere along that 12. The Magma Cannon is better because you just get 24.
Yeah.
So the maximum threat range is 42 inches. From the back of your board, you're pretty much touching the back of your opponent's board edge.
Yeah, it's really horrible.
And it's super accurate.
Yes.
Like there's not really a chance for you to miss, to be honest.
Don't forget, Demon Smith lets you re-roll that artillery dice as well.
Re-roll it. And then when it does hit, oh man. Flamer templates. You get Teardrop templates, you get a bucket load of hits on models, but on ranked up units, even on monstrous infantry. And monstrous infantry do fear this. Because it's strength 5, and every hit is multiple wounds D3.
My trolls, my beautiful trolls.
And flaming.
Oh dear, oh dear.
It is flaming. So trolls aren't getting regen. Ogres aren't getting regen from the troll guts.
If your troll guts, mate.
Like, honestly, this thing is immense.
It's really good.
And then the final beauty of it is 145 points.
Yeah, it's good for those points. It's really good.
It's cheap. It's cheap for what it does.
Yeah, it's very good for its points. If you start looking at flame cannons being 125, I think basic for the dwarves, which have half the range. So 20 points to basically double the base range from 12 to 24. Yeah, amazing.
There's a regular upgrades of IND of Hellbound and Steam Carriage if you really want to. Don't particularly need to. But yeah, there's not many units in the game apart from say lone monsters that fear the shot of this thing.
No, still keeps the contempt as well because it's crewed by Castells.
Yeah, keeps
so
contempt.
It's less likely to run. The crew themselves are not bad in combat. Weapon skill 4, toughness 4, with the 5 up armor save. That's very good for artillery crew. If I'm honest.
Honestly, it's so cheap. So having more than one in your army is probably not going to be unheard of, if I'm honest.
No, and if you get them at the each end of your battle line, you can kind of cross map almost.
Yeah, you get a direct hit on a ranked type unit. That ranked unit is in a lot of trouble.
Yes, it's
unless it's say like a unit of Dragon Princes who have two also get flaming.
Obviously anything that's protected from flaming.
Yeah, so you have to pick your target.
Still few and far between.
They are few and far between, but you have to pick your targets in terms of knowing what you're going to be shooting at.
Yeah, I like these a lot.
A lot of people like it. I love the magma cannon. You love the magma cannon.
I certainly do. I just wanted to double check something before I asked the question of you, but that involved me being able to find it in the book. I hope everyone's having fun at home. It is, it's flaming attacks.
It is flaming, yeah.
D3. I wasn't sure if it was also armor piercing.
Oh, no.
They're just taking it a little too far.
You take it too much.
It's amazing, though.
Not armor piercing. But I tell you what is armor piercing. Our next piece of artillery, which is the Death Shrieker rocket launcher.
I also like these.
This comes in with a competitive rating of 19 out of 24. You thought the magma cannon was good.
Yeah, I really like these.
So it gets with 3 for threat range, 1 for strength for shots, unfortunately. Now, we're going to be going back and forwards here a lot with this thing here.
We'll have to have a little chat about this one.
So 1 for strength for shots initially, 3 for accuracy, 4 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost.
So this one is the war machine that I see people say, like this one and the
magma cannon.
Mortar,
the
Dreadquake, are the ones that you don't see as often. You see the magma cannon quite a lot. Hell cannon quite a lot.
Yes, hell cannon.
I don't get why you don't see the rocket more, because the rocket seems ace.
So it's a weird war machine, and you got to think of it as a doom diver, in all honesty, because of the way it does its shots.
Weird, isn't it? Yeah.
So it shoots like a stone thrower. And
so artillery scatter.
Artillery scatter. You pick a point. You don't place a template. You pick a point on the battlefield in which you target the unit. You roll your artillery and your scatter dice, and you go that distance. If you miss the target, I believe you might have to double check this for me. I believe that you get to redirect it D6 inches,
which is like a doom.
Which is the exact same as doom. I don't know if it's D6. Or I don't know if it's an artillery dice.
I'm just going to have a little look if I can
find it again.
I've got to find them. Yeah.
They're there.
Death Shrieker rocket. So this one is.
It's further down the page. It's really weird. Again, the book is just really spaced out and really weirdly how it's worded. As James tried to find.
Sorry, guys.
That's right.
If the target marker is not in contact with the unit, roll another artillery dice.
There you go.
If the misfire is rolled, the rocket explodes harmlessly in the air. The spirits scream and the shot was wasted. If a number is rolled, the target marker is moved towards the nearest unit, friend or foe, distance equal to the number rolled on the dice, and the 3-inch template is used then. Yeah,
so you don't get to choose who goes near towards. You have to go towards the nearest unit, friendly and foe, and it's an artillery dice redirection rather than a single D6.
But when you're blowing that over there, early doors, the other side of the table, it's going to hit something.
And also got to point out here is that if you do hit with the initial shot, it's a large blast.
Yeah, so if you land a hit on the artillery dice, you place the 5-inch template.
Or if the marker hits a model, you place the 5-inch template, I believe it is. Or is it
if the target marker is directly in contact with the unit or model after the shot has been resolved, so it can still scatter if it touches a model.
It's actually you still get the large blast.
You put the large template down, and if you
miss the target but then redirect onto something, it's then the small blast.
It's a small blast. Very good.
The strength of the shot, the strength of it is only 3.
It is.
But it does have armor piercing.
Hits caused by this weapon have flaming attacks.
And flaming.
And units... No, it's not armor piercing, I don't think.
Is it not armor piercing?
It says... I'll have to check up the top, but the hits caused by this weapon have flaming attacks, and any unit that suffers a casualty must take a panic test if they're eligible. So it's the same as a Screaming Skull Catapult.
So it's not armor piercing. I thought it was armor piercing. Oh well, it might be armor piercing at some point, but again, it's strength 3, large blast, flaming. Flame is going to become to a bit more importance later on in the show when we in the show when we talk about the lore of Hashut. But it's really good.
12 to 48 inch range.
12 to 48 inch range, so you can hit the entire board. And then that's not everything. It has a second shot you can do as well. It has a demolition rocket, which fires the same way as a stone thrower. It doesn't get the redirect.
No.
Doesn't get the blast, but if it does hit its model, it is strength 8 with multiple wounds d6.
So it's like a cannon.
It's a cannon at that point.
Slightly lower strength cannon at that point. So a third of the time it will land on target, which is excellent. What does it say here? The rockets inflict damage on a single model on which they land. So again, if it scatters on something else, it still takes a strength 8 hit. So what is this bad against? That's what I always ask myself.
This is why it gets a 4th versatility.
Because you look and go, well, it can deck out units with the strength 3. Well, I suppose well-armoured units or tougher units are a little less good for it. But, you know, it can threaten blocked up regiments. It can threaten monsters or even monstrous sort of beasts or cavalry with strength 8 hit.
Yeah, you might kill one. The only thing it does particularly struggle against is, say, like ranked up monstrous infantry units that haven't been hit by a certain spell.
Yeah.
That if it's just hitting a monstrous infantry unit off the bat, it won't do as well. But again, you're still causing a buckload of hits on them. Yeah. Some of it's going to get through.
You're going to roll dice, and this thing's 100 points.
That's the main kicker. It's 100 points. It's one of the cheapest pieces of artillery in the game, next to say mortars and unupgraded dwarven stone throwers.
Yeah, I mean the Screaming Skull's 90.
Oh, Screaming Skull,
it's a sort of stone thrower price, but it can kind of do a bit of both.
So you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to upgrade to for demolition rockets. No, it comes with demolition rockets.
The redirection thing's really good on it. I think personally, I think that really makes it. It makes it anti-block, anti-big cheap blocks, and I've got to be honest, that's something Chaos Stores do have to think about because you know we'll talk about the steam cannonade, we talk about the magma cannon already. We're going to talk about a couple of other weapons. We'll talk about their spells. The Kadai, they don't struggle with elite stuff.
No,
elite stuff that's got good saves and that.
It's bread and butter.
Bread and butter for them. Where they don't like is when they play Skaven and they've got 200 slaves or 200 rats they've got to kill. You
start hitting them and you can take 3 of these. 300 points. It's still cheaper than Kadai Destroy.
Because they're a special choice.
Yeah. They're 100 points a model.
Yeah. These I like. I think I think people are missing out on these. I would have a couple, I think.
The way I usually see the artillery in a Chaos Dwarf army is either 2 magma cannons of Death Shrieker or 2 Death Shriekers of magma cannon.
Yeah.
You take two of one of the other.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's the Death Shrieker. Again, we both pretty much like. We love the little Death Shrieker model.
I like all the artillery.
It's all good. And then we're going to move into another returner, which is the Iron Demon with Steam Cannonade.
Yep.
And this gets a competitive rating of 16 out of 24.
So yeah, he drops a few points.
Drops 3 points, I think it was.
Yeah.
3 points from the Iron Demon in the flanker. It gets there with 2 for threat range, 3 for strength for shots, 1 for accuracy, 4 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. You look at me as when I said accuracy, it still has to roll to hit.
Yeah, it does.
It still has to roll as the the long range. It still gets all that. It doesn't get any other bonuses to ignore modifiers. Because it's not multiple shots, it doesn't ignore multiple shots then at that point.
No, it doesn't. It's about right what you're saying.
About right, yeah. I've got on here a disappointing score, but it's not that disappointing of a score, to be honest. It's still pretty good.
This is what we were saying earlier. This thing's best employed as a bit of a kind of halfway house thing. You put it in amongst your kind of war machine type stuff. You shoot with it to protect the war machine from lighter troop choices, like cavalry, things like that, by whittling down, or even slightly more elite things with the strength 6, like enemy sort of cavalry, or those light characters like paladins and things like that on Pegasus, and then it countercharges. And when it countercharges, it delivers mass damage with its impact hits and stuff.
It'd be nice if they could fire the steam cannonade while in combat.
Oh, of course it would, yeah.
But obviously that'd be
nice if they ignored the rules of the game.
Exactly. I mean, a steam tank is a shoot in combat. You can shoot a steam gun.
Yeah, sort of. It does hits, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I said purely because of the fact you can fire the steam cannonade while moving as well. you're better off just putting this thing through the flanking roll and just treating it as like a flanker with a shooting attack as well.
That's probably how I'd treat it. I think it's also worth pointing out, we've sort of said it's about the right points on both times round.
With the steam cannon, not the skullcracker, it is cheaper.
Yeah.
285 points?
Yeah, and it probably is about the right points. I know you're thinking, well, the steam tank's 250, that's grotesquely too cheap.
Yeah, that is too cheap.
That is at least 50 points too cheap. So that's the sort of the game gamble. I think these get a bit of an unfair rap. I think people get into with a lot of armies. I think people get into a pattern where they're sort of like, I've got to have this amount of artillery because the artillery's all strong, and we'll keep on that.
You
vein
don't
in a minute.
need to have all that
I've
much
got
artillery.
to have a Kadai because it's really strong. And so what you end up with is a place where these things fall out, and people just go, oh well, I don't take them because they're not very good. But actually, you're not taking them because you're kind of in the pattern. And I think there's some mileage in the Iron Demons. I think there is a bit of mileage in them.
Again, we could keep going on about them, but we have other bits.
We have other business.
We have other business, and we're going to get into our penultimate war machine, which is the Dreadquake Mortar. It comes in with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24.
Yeah.
We've done nothing but climb up.
Yeah, I really was surprised by this one.
So we get there with 4 for threat range, 4 for strength for shots, 3 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. So this is our first big stone thrower, and one I think doesn't get a lot of love from people, and I think it deserves some love. It's very similar to the Hell Cannon, and we're going to talk about Hell Cannon in a second, but it has a few different differentiations. It keeps the strength 5, strength 10 for the stone thrower, because its shot is 12 inches to 120 inches. I believe.
Bigger range.
It's either 120 or 72 inches. It's ridiculously long range.
72 is the standard stuff.
Yeah, so it might be around that. Bigger range.
Find it.
James, I'm now thinking it might be 72.
Yeah, you oversold it. It's 72, so it's a standard
stone
thrower.
Standard stone thrower. It loses out on the Hell Cannon's trick of a -1 panic test if you suffer a casualty.
It does.
But it gains the effect of any unit that is, I think it's hit or is it suffer a casualty.
Quake. All models in a unit suffering casualties from a Dreadquake Mortar in the previous turn must pass the test exactly as if they are moving through dangerous terrain if they wish to move. And then it lists what that includes. Or use move or fire weapons in the next turn. War machines are treated as chariots in this respect. Now, I really like this because that means war machines can get one banged.
Yeah,
if they're still alive, because if they roll a 1, they take d6 wounds, so treat it as chariot.
So if you cause one, well, to be honest, you have to cause a casualty. So you're going to cause. Well, you're not. They don't want to suffer a casualty.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah, odd wording that. I guess.
I'll have to double check the FAQ. I don't remember seeing anything in
losing
there.
a crewman would be a casualty for me.
But it's more like losing a wound, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's a weird one. Move or fire weapons is good though, because it potentially stops them from shooting like handguns, although they're not the world's greatest weapons.
If you do shoot a Dreadquake Mortar at a handgun unit, and they want to shoot or they move, if they want to do anything, they're going to take some Danish trainers. And it's not just the models that are hit by the Dreadquake; it's the entire unit. Yeah,
the unit, if they take any casualties, pretty solid when it's a strength 5 burst. You could easily clip a couple of units here and cause some real quaking problems. You have them quaking in their boots.
You have them quaking in their booties. So that is a pretty spicy rule. It is very volatile though, because if it does misfire, it suffers -1 to the stone. I mean, black powder. Black powder misfire chart.
So 50% of the time, it blows up every time.
So if you're taking one of these, keep your Demon Smiths nearby to reroll those misfires. It does also have a pretty detrimental rule in slow reload.
So the shells used by the Dreadquake Mortar are huge, temperamental, and cumbersome, making the weapon slow to reload. Unless a slave ogre is present as part of the war machine's crew, after the mortar has fired once, you must roll a 3+ on a d6 whenever you wish to fire it again. If the roll is failed, you may not fire this turn, but may fire again, normally the turn after. Now, the slave ogre is the way you get around that. It's a 20-point upgrade, which means that the machine goes to 215 points.
This isn't too bad when you compare it to, say, a Hell Cannon's price of 210.
Well, it would be if it maintained 3 toughness, 7 wounds, but it doesn't, does it, Max?
No. So this was an FAQ for the Dreadquake Mortar. If you take the Slave Ogre upgrade, it gains 3 wounds because it has an ogre.
So now it's got 6 wounds.
It has 6 wounds, and then it has the lovely upgrade of Hellbound.
Yeah, which could give it another one.
Which make it toughness 8 with 7 wounds.
Yes.
So the Slave Ogre upgrade. If you're taking the Dreadquake, you're taking a Slave Ogre.
Yeah, and I think that's probably enough for me. As much as I like the Hellbound, I don't want to spend another 25 points.
A 6 wound piece of artillery.
Yeah, that's enough.
It's enough, and you get the Quake bonus. You get the fact you can shoot every turn. So you got the Slave Ogre. The Slave Ogre you always make sure the Slave Ogre is the one to die last.
It also maintains all of the good stuff of a Stone Thrower, so it's still multiple wounds D6 under the hull.
This is armor piercing.
It is armor piercing.
It's armor piercing as well.
Strength 5 armor piercing.
This is the one that's armor piercing. Sorry, not Death Trigger. This is the one that's armor piercing.
It's horrible. It's so horrible. You hate to see it.
This is what I'm saying. I think it's. So I don't know why people don't use more of these. You got Kadai and Hell Cannon are obviously in the same slot as this. That's probably why. So the Hell Cannon is more reliable. I'm going to talk about it in a second anyway. So this is why you see the Hell Cannon. But I really like the Dreadquake. I probably would like to take. I'd love to take one. I think the model for it is fantastic. Again, such a lovely model.
Doing a Highlander list, why would I not take a Hell Cannon and a Dreadquake?
Because you can take Hell Cannon and Kadai.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I didn't want that,
if you go full
heavy
shooter,
on the artillery still.
Oh,
that was a good way to get that comp bonus as well, isn't it?
So the Dreadquake Mortal, I like it. I think James kind of likes it.
It's his slot, mate. It's just his slot, isn't it? He's in a really competitive slot.
Special and Rare are so competitive for Chaos Dwarves. It's hard to you have to really make the decision.
I might be tempted to take it over a Hell Cannon though. Maybe. Maybe.
The only thing, is it doesn't have the combat prowess.
No, the Hell Cannon does have that.
But so anyway,
this doesn't try and run off at the start of every turn.
Don't try and run off. So anyway, as we talk about Hell Cannon, we're going to move into the infamous Hell Cannon.
And that's the last shooting.
It is the last shooting unit in the book. Well, not in the book. Well, in our section.
In our section, yeah.
It comes in again with competitive rating of 20 out of 24. So it's very similar to the
same as the Warriors of Chaos Deep Dive score.
Same as Warriors of Chaos. It's identical to Warriors of Chaos because the section in the army list. What did it say, James?
Hell Cannon, as per Warhammer Armies, Warriors of Chaos.
So it doesn't even have its own. It did have to get FAQ because it was 5 points cheaper.
Yeah, 205. It says it's 210 in there.
Because this book came out before the 8th edition Warriors of Chaos book came out.
It did.
So we get there for 4 for threat range, 4 for strength for shots, 3 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. As I said, identical to Warriors of Chaos.
So it's a strength.
Strength 5,
stone throw.
Strength 5, strength 10.
On the hull, multiple wounds D6. The shot is magical.
The shot of the Hell Cannon is magical because it has Doomfire.
Yep.
It's not armor piercing though.
Right. And the cannon itself is a monster.
It's a monster.
Toughness 5 with...
Toughness 6.
Toughness 6 with 5
5
wounds.
wounds, 4 up armor save, 5 up ward save, Thunder Stomp.
It does have to take a leadership test at the start of every turn to see if it shakes free of its shackles, and if it fails that test, it can do.
It turns to face
things.
It turns to face the nearest enemy unit and then moves 3d6 inches directly towards them. If it makes it in contact, it counts as charging.
Right, and then if it misfires, it doesn't consult the chart. It has its own table,
so which is devastating.
Let us very quickly read you what happens if it misfires. That's why we have the books here.
Some of them are pretty funky in their misfire table. It's not as funny as the 7th edition Warriors of Chaos book was, but they are pretty devastating in itself. There you go.
Hell Cannon. So the misfire. So if it so I'll just cover a couple of other things here. The Doomfire is 12 to 60 inch range, so it is slightly less than the Dreadquake Mortar. It is slow to fire, so if it does move, you can't fire it. Any unit that suffers 1 or more casualties from the Doomfire takes a panic test, as if it had suffered 25% casualties, with -1 penalty to their leadership, which is good. If you do misfire, you have 6 results on the table. If you roll a 1, it is free at last. It breaks its bonds. Every unit within 3d6 takes d6 strength 5 hits, and the cannon and the Chaos Dwarves holding it are dead.
Yes.
The Schlurp is number 2. The Hell Cannon sucks its own handlers into the furnace. Remove all of the Hell Cannon's remaining Chaos Dwarf crew.
So it does take it down from Leadership 9 to Leadership 4.
And it's just a monster then.
It's just a monster.
You can still shoot,
You can still shoot if it passes the Leadership test at Leadership 4.
Unless it's got the general.
Unless it's got a general, yeah.
Thuz is number 3. The Hell Cannon fires great pulses of raw magic. This one's terrifying. All wizards, friend or foe within 24, must immediately pass a leadership test or take a miscast. Ignore any instructions to lose dice from the power pool, but any spells lost are determined randomly.
Not as good as it used to be, because it used to be every wizard on the board just immediately takes a miscast.
Yes. Number 4 is Grarg. And that's the enraged demon inside the Hell Cannon goes berserk. D3 of the Chaos Dwarf crew are eaten, so they might survive.
You might survive this one round.
5 is Blood. The Hell Cannon breaks its chains and rushes forwards. Move the Hell Cannon 3d6 directly forwards as if it was subject to random movement, and it was the compulsory move subphase.
Mm-hmm.
And number 6 is boom! The Hell Cannon fires a devastating blast. Resolve the Doomfire shot as if a hit was rolled, but double the strength of any hits to a maximum of 10. The Hell Cannon cannot fire for the rest of the game, but it's just a monster.
One of the worst results on the board is the 6, because the strength 10 on the blast isn't particularly necessary because it's strength 5 pretty much everywhere else.
But it is terrifying.
So again, Hell Cannon, it's a lot of people toss up between a Hell Cannon and Dreadquake when it comes to Chaos Dwarves. They sometimes go for the Hell Cannon because it can defend itself in combat. It's tougher in a sense because it's an armor save and a ward save, and one less wound if you give the slave ogre.
If I was building a competitive list that didn't have a Kadai, I'd have one of each.
Yes,
definitely, because that's better for the all-round gameplay. I've got some non-magical, I've got some magical, I've got lots of choices now. If I was doing it with the Kadai, oh, that's really hard.
I think it's down to preference.
Yeah, I'd play a bigger game.
A game which take all three,
and then let me take all three. I'll have to work out how many points days.
It is a hard choice to decide between a Dreadquake and a Hell Cannon. A lot of more people go for the Hell Cannon because the fact that it's...
I think at 3k I can have one of each in the Slave Ogre.
Alright. But yeah, a lot of people do take the Hell Cannon, but I can certainly see the aspects of taking Dreadquake over the Hell Cannon.
Look, it's all good, guys. It's all good. All the artillery's good.
Yeah, literally, the lowest there was the Iron Demon with Steam Cannonade, but that's because the range of it wasn't all that good and the accuracy wasn't that good either.
And we just use it as a support shooter with counter charge.
Yeah. Oh, and the Hell Shot blunderbusses, but
we just forget them.
But that's it for shooting. We're done with shooting, and we're going to move into.
You can see why people go artillery heavy.
Yeah,
with this army,
it's all good, strong stuff. We're going to move into the least populated section, and that is Chaff. And we only have one selection, and that is Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders. And
they are Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders, not Riders, Wolf Raiders. As the Word document I was trying to do kept trying to change it to Riders instead of Raiders. So the Raiders themselves, they come with a competitive rate of 11 out of 24. They get there with 4 for maneuverability, 2 for number of attacks, 1 for special rules, 2 for slots, 0 for survivability, and 2 for cost. The worst part about this unit, they are key after the Bull Centaur. No, there you go.
No, I've got them.
There you go.
I'm getting to know it now.
So the worst part about this unit is they're rare. Of all things to be in, they are rare. They're a rare set. They're competing with your Kadai's, your Dreadquakes, and your Hell Cannons.
Shocking. It's just shocking that they're a rare choice.
The only reason they get 2 for slot is because there's no other better...
There's no better chaff in the book.
There's not a better chaff in the book. And purely because of that reason, you really don't see chaff in a Chaos Dwarf army outside of Hobgoblin, Khans, and Wolves themselves.
Yeah, which we'll touch on rather than go mad.
Does that mean there's a better slot for the chaff unit? I don't know.
Technically, I suppose.
But yeah, so...
Do you want to take more points off of them at 11?
You don't particularly see them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a comedy of problems here. They come with light armour and they're mounted on the wolf, so they've got a 5 up. Not bad. You can give them a shield, gives them a 4 up. Now, that would be quite nice, but they lose their fast cavalry. So you don't do that. Movement 9 is good from the wolves. Other than that, they're just sort of 3s for everything. Weapon skill, strength, toughness.
They're identical to Goblin Wolf Riders in an Orcs and Goblins rule army book. Apart from we also had cowardly...
And I think I don't think Goblin Wolf Riders, the Riders are weapon skill 2 still, aren't they?
No, so we have got weapon skill 3 on them. They still keep the Goblin Animosity.
They do, which is not too bad.
Not too bad.
They are cowardly despoilers though.
Yeah.
So Wolf Raiders gain +1 to their combat result in a first turn of combat if they successfully charge an enemy in the flank or rear. But if they themselves are charged, they suffer a -1 to hit on the first turn of combat. The rule applies to the Hobgoblins themselves, including any Hobgoblin character in the unit, but not their wolves.
It's a double-edged sword, that one.
So just don't put the Hobgoblin character in the unit. That would be the best choice there.
If you're taking them, you do stick them in the flank or rear of a unit that's engaged in combat with, say, a Chaos Dwarf unit, get the +1 to combat res.
Yeah, but then they all die and give away 5 combat res.
Yeah,
they've got no save and they're really low toughness.
Honestly, just don't take them.
You can really invest in these guys as well. They can also take spears. They can also have bows. They can take full command.
They're 12 points a model. It's not bad.
15 with a bow and a spear though.
15 bow and spear. And again, cutting into your Dreadquake, Kadai, Hell Cannon allowance.
Yeah, they're not very good. We're really sorry that they are the only dedicated Chaff
Chaff
unit
unit in the book.
but you're better to do Hobgoblin Wolf Riders on Hobgoblin Khan. So that's a hero choice.
Yeah.
We'll just touch on it. We don't normally do generics, but we will touch on it.
We talk about him a lot in
scenario here.
We have talked about him a lot here.
So Hobgoblin Khan, he's just a generic character. He's weapon skill strength and toughness 4. He's got 2 wounds, initiative 4. He has 3 attacks, and he is 40 points. Now he comes with a hand weapon and a throwing knife. He doesn't have any of the kind of animosity, any of the cowardly fighters stuff. So again, he's really consistently solid. He's only leadership 7, but he can steal the general's leadership. He may ride a giant wolf for 12 points. That's incredible. He can take light armour and a shield for a combined total of 4 points, although there is some speculation over whether taking the shield does take his fast cavalry off of him.
I'm going to say no, because it doesn't mention it in there.
So it would just say that it would just mean that he lost the Vanguard element because he's a single model, and so he can still pivot and do whatever he wants. The spear is increased by 2. The spear is increased to 4 points. Sorry, is 4 points if he's mounted.
So what's it on the wolf with all like light armor, shield, and spear? How much does he cost?
He would cost 60 points.
So it's the same points as 5 Goblin Wolf Raiders.
Yeah. And again, we've talked about this before, but I really like Shield of Ptolos on these type of characters, which is 25 point generic rulebook item, gives them a 1-up arm save against shooting, means they get to where you want them to get to.
So, yeah, so if you're looking for chaff, take these guys. They're cheap as anything to be just take them anyway. I don't know why you wouldn't take them over the Goblin Wolf Raiders.
Yeah, and they can have magic items as well.
They can have magic items.
Only 25 points, but that's enough for a Shield of Ptolos.
It is.
Yeah, good. Better choice. That's the chaff we'd recommend you go for. But we've done Hobgoblin Wolves.
We have done Hobgoblin Wolves. So that's that. And at this point, so that's the end of the units, really.
Oh, it is, yeah.
That's all the regular units.
Oh.
You're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
I was just getting into it.
At this point in time, we'll take a break and go into special characters. But there's one special character.
So we're not going to take
We're not going to take a break. We're just going to power through it and go into the single special character we have for the Chaos Dwarves, which is Drazoath. It's hard to say his name. Drazoath the Ashen. So the leader of the Legion of Azgorh. That was a lot of alliteration there.
That really was.
It comes with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24.
He also is on our cabinet here.
That is the actual model for Drazoath.
And we're going to give a massive shout out to Rob for
thanks, Rob.
selling your Chaos Dwarves to Max.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm loving them. I've not used them yet. I need to start working on them, but I will be getting them.
There is a mountain of hobby that we're doing for tournaments and channel at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And they are somewhere in the burner. They're not back burner. They're not front burner, but they're in the burner.
They're in the burner.
But Drazoath.
They're in the cinder breath, if you will.
Cow. The cow itself. So 18 out of 24. He gets there with 4 for output, 2 for special rules, 3 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 3 for cost. That's a respectable score for a character that, if I'm honest, never gets used.
No, he's a 19, isn't he?
18.
18, yeah.
Yeah,
good.
18.
Good stuff. Like that.
We'll start with the good points first. Over a regular Sorcerer Prophet, he has an additional wound and an additional point of weapon skill.
He does.
So he's a bit more survivable and a bit more killy in combat.
Yes.
He grants +1 combat res to all friendly combats within 12 inches of him.
Yes.
So that's a big multiplier.
Including himself as well.
Including himself. So it's all good there. And he gets +1 to cast for his casting attempts.
Yeah.
If he kills an enemy wizard in combat, it becomes +2.
So that's the Demon Spiked Crucible.
Yes.
Adds 1 to the bearer's casting attempts, and in addition, if Drazoath or Cinderbreath kills an enemy wizard in close combat, their soul stuff is consumed by the Crucible, and the bonus increases +2. Additional slain wizards do not increase.
So Drazoath isn't probably going to kill any wizard, but the cow, Cinderbreath, the Battle Taurus he rides, Murder Cow intensifies.
He's weapon skill 5, strength 6, toughness 6 with 5 wounds, 3 for initiative and 4 attacks. Cinderbreath. So he's a beast. He's
a big beast in a standard. I think he's a standard Battle Taurus.
Yeah,
he has a strength 5 breath weapon. So I think a regular Battle Taurus only gets strength 4. He's a strength 5.
Cinderbreath is a Battle Taurus, detailed on page 185. It says here. There's nothing about him having a better strength breath weapon.
I think it's in the FAQ.
Oh, okay.
Unless the Battle Taurus has strength 5 breath weapon to begin with.
The Battle Taurus. No. He has a strength 4 breath weapon.
So Cinderbreath has a strength 5 breath weapon.
Okay, lovely. He still maintains flaming attacks, fly, large target, terror. He's fueled by fire, so if he gets hit by any spells from the Lore of Fire, He cannot be wounded by them, and he immediately regains D3 lost wounds earlier in the battle.
Yeah. So
And he has the blazing body, which means you reroll a successful.
reroll successful wounds, and
Wounds
you take a
against him.
strength 4 hit if you're in base contact.
Yep.
Drazoath doesn't take that because it doesn't hit the rider.
No, it just hits the enemies.
The enemies and any other unit in base contact.
Friendlies that get too near as well.
So that's that. He also Drazoath himself never needs more than a 4+ to wound in combat.
No, he has the Graven Scepter, which is exactly that. Regardless of toughness, 4+ to wound is successful.
Yep. And he rocks the Lore of Hashut, which we're going to talk about later on, which we both like. We're going to talk about later on anyway. But he rocks the Lore of Hashut. But what causes him not to be taken?
Oh, I'm going to jump in quickly. He's also got the Hellshard Amulet. Gives him a 5+ ward save. And for every successful wound that the amulet fails to stop in close combat, so the ones he fails the 5 ward saves on, a strength 2 hit is automatically inflicted on a model that caused the wound. So
it's not bad. Gives him so in total he has a 3-up 5-up because he has Black Shard armor. He's mounted for the 3-up arm save, and then he has a 5 ward save and 5-up against flaming if he somehow loses the talisman he's got.
Yes.
So from like Arcane on Forge or anything like that. What causes him not to be taken though is that you can make a regular source of profit just as good as him, maybe if not better at doing a certain thing.
The thing with him is he's
solid.
He's really good all round, right? But there's some really good magic items we're going to discuss which he can't take. You know, you're making a big call when you put your general on a monster.
You are.
And I think Chaos Dwarves are one of the few armies that can do it and do it well. But do I want a better save than a 3+, 5+? Yeah, I probably do. I probably want a 1+. Or a 2+ at worst.
2+, 4+.
2+, 4+ if I can get it, and maybe a 1+. I haven't got anything that jumps off wounds like a Charm Shield or anything like that. That's where I think he falls short. Mm-hmm. And why you don't see him.
He in comparison, a source of profit on the big Battle Taurus are 525 points.
Before you spend any items.
Before you spend any items. So that's level 4 source of profit on a Battle Taurus is 520 points. Drazoath is 570.
So for 50 points, you're getting the ward save that always wins on a 4, the +1 to cast, the better breath weapon on his Battle Taurus.
The combat res bonus as well for using 12 inches.
Nah, he's pretty good for that.
He's putting a lot out for the 50 points.
Yeah, he is for that
But
cost.
then he's a bit geriatric because his weapon wants to be in combat. He himself doesn't particularly want to be in combat because he's still a wizard.
Yeah, and he's better at casting spells than he is at fighting realistically himself.
But then Cinderbreath, the Battle Taurus, wants to be in combat himself as well.
Yeah, what did we give him for risk?
We gave him 2 for risk.
Yeah, and that's why. Because ultimately, if you're in combat, you get a 1 for risk if you've got to go in to do your damage. Now Cinderbreath and the kind of weapon need that. But and you get a 4 if you don't have to sort of engage at all, if you can just dance around and cast spells, which he could do. But you've paid a lot of points for this guy that he's sitting on. And you need to get that in combat to make that worthwhile.
Yeah. So we split the difference and gave him a 2 overall.
Yes, we did.
So that's that. He can be really good, but you've got to be sure that you can't just make a regular better source of profit. If you got an idea what your source of profit is going to do, build him up that. If you think it's going to do the same thing as what Drazoath can do, then I probably would look at him. If I'm honest.
Yeah. I definitely think you should consider him, but I think you'll probably find that there's almost always a better generic one, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. But that's overall, he's solid. He's actually a really solid character.
Yeah,
Lore of Hashut, +1 to cast, possibly +2. He's really good. And that's that. We have braved the hellish forges of the Darklands and returned unchained and free for now. We're all safe.
Max and James are marked as safe from Chaos Dwarf Expedition.
But now, before we move into the next section, why not grab a beverage? Say like a Coke.
I'm certainly gonna.
I'm gonna grab a drink quickly, and then we'll move into the Chaos Dwarf unique, mundane, and magic items. So we've finished our analysis of the Dawizar's units, but units alone don't make an army, and to get a full picture of how to play each army competitively, we also have to look at the unique, mundane equipment and magic items. So we'll start with the Chaos Dwarf's mundane equipment, and the first up is a piece of equipment that finds its way around the army quite a bit, and that's Black Shard armor. So we spoke about earlier on. It grants a 4-up arm save and a 5-up ward save against flaming attacks, and wizards can still cast spells while wearing it. So it's pretty much Chaos armor with the 5-up ward save against flaming.
Praise Hashut.
Praise Hashut.
My response to that is really good.
Chaos Dwarves make Chaos Armour. It's only sensible they'll keep the best Chaos Armour for themselves.
Yeah, it's really strong. Like it a lot.
Yeah, so you just look at Chaos Armour, add the free ward save in, and then you realise how good a bit of kit this is.
Yes.
Like, there's not much more to say.
Not really, it's really good. I mean, ultimately it means that you can easily score 3+ or better armour saves on all your sort of line troops if you want to.
The only thing, you have to buy Magic Shield for your Sorcerers and Demon Smiths, but I say because you can buy the monster that have it as standard is your Infernal Castellans, which are your BSBs, your Infernal Guard, your Infernal Ironsworn, all your wizards have it as standard. You can buy it for your Bull Centaur Taurox as well, which is outstanding. It's just a really good bit of kit, if I'm honest.
All good stuff.
And yeah, that's about it. So you really get easy to get into a tanky state. And the next up is another piece of equipment that we spoke about earlier on, is the Naphtha bombs.
It is.
So these can be taken on Chaos Dwarf champs and characters except for the Infernal Castellan.
Yep.
They have a 6-inch range and cause D3, Strength 3, armor piercing hits. But if you roll a 1 to hit, then the thrower suffers a single flaming wound but gets armor saves as normal.
Yeah, which is fine because he gets his armor and then he gets his 5 wall save.
The 5 wall save is flaming. So you don't take it for damage, as we said. You take it purely because of the range benefit of having it in.
Do the stand and shoot thing with them.
The standard shoot thing. They said it costs I think it's 5 or 12 points on the champ.
They weren't a lot, were they?
They weren't a lot of points.
Have a quick zip,
Yander.
see if I can find an answer to that question.
In this Mazel book.
Good sir, it's 5 points for a
5 points for a Naphtha bomb. So if you take it, as we said, if you're taking fire glaives, you got to take this as well.
Concoction of sulphurous chemicals that creates an unstable explosive flask. And yeah, last generic then, Ensorcelled Hand Weapons.
Ensorcelled Hand Weapons as well, because this is another generic one as well, because Ensorcelled Hand Weapons, they come as standard on the Infernal Ironsworn. No one else can take them, not even like the characters can take this.
No.
And it's basically an Ensorcelled Weapon from Warriors of Chaos. It's +1 strength, magical attacks, but you can still parry while you're using it. So you don't usually get a parry save with magical attacks.
Nope. Really good.
But this gives you a parry save because you come with a shield as well. So you get that fire. So you 3 up arm save, you fire against flaming, and your 6 up parry save.
And your strength 5 all the time.
And your strength 5. So it's just layers upon layers upon layers of just saves you got with the Chaos Dwarves. They're ridiculously hardy for what they are.
You just pay layers and layers of points.
Layers, like an ogre.
Like an onion.
Like an onion. But that's it for mundane equipment, because there are a few bits and pieces that are unique to, say, the Demon Smith and Sorcerer Prophet. We're not going to move much into them because we don't speak about mundane characters all that much. So we're going to move into our magic items now, and the first is the Black Hammer of Hashut.
Forged in hell.
You're going to love this, because these don't go in how expensive they are. They don't go in the order in terms of what item they actually are. They're just in a random order.
Oh, it's amazing.
So we have the Black Hammer of Hashut first, and it's a 35-point magic weapon for Chaos Dwarfs only. That grants +2 strength, and any flammable model that's successfully wounded is killed outright.
It's just so good.
It's just killed. It's good when it's a combination of a spell. We keep alluding to this spell.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We're going to get there in a second, but it's a combination of a spell and the Lore of Hashut is really good. But just +2 strength in general is really good.
40 points. That's what the Ogre Blade costs. That gives you +2 strength in the main rulebook.
There you go. And you get the caveat of if it's flammable, you're killed outright. And the best thing is...
And it's 5 points cheaper.
It's 5 points cheaper. And in itself, it's not flaming. So if you've got the Dragon Helm or the Dragon Bane Gem... So
that's really strong.
Your Tomb Kings, who usually take Dragon Bane Gem or Dragon Helm to combat flaming attacks, don't get against this. And if they're killed, they're flammable, so they're killed outright.
Yes, it's really great.
It's really... This is probably the magic weapon you usually see the most.
Tree Men beware.
Tree Men beware, Tomb Kings beware, Tree Kin beware.
Oh, you hate to see it.
You really do hate to see it if you're like if you're a tree.
Really great weapon.
It's just it's the standard weapon you usually see all the time.
Say you got plenty of space to pack items onto this guy as well.
Because you can put it on Sorcerer Prophets, you can put it on your Infernal Castellans. They have 75 points of magic allowance.
Yeah, they do.
So they still got 40 points left to take that.
And there's some good stuff in
Some
here
good,
as well.
real good stuff. You know what you can take there. So moving to our next item, and it's the Dagger of Malice, and it's 20-point magic weapon that grants hatred, and that's it.
It's well good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it though? Because it doesn't do anything else.
Are you all right, mate?
I don't think it's all that good, mate.
You give it to a Torok. He's weapon skill 5, strength 5 with 4 attacks and hatred.
Yeah, but you can also take other good magic weapons.
It's 20 points, man.
Hatred is a signature spell for the Lore of Hashut.
Yeah, it is. I think it's all right. you know. But I can see your argument about
I
the
mean,
signature spell.
it's
It's not bad, is it? Let's be
It's
honest.
not bad. Hatred is a good rule. My only issue is there's no strength bonuses. There's no bonus attack. You only get hatred. Hatred is only for one round of combat. Go.
That's my strength bonus right there.
Well,
Potion of strength, my spinach.
Potion of spinach, yeah.
My potion of spinach.
You can take a potion of strength with it.
Yeah, it's good with that.
But again, the redundancy is that, as alluded to, the signature spell Lore of Hashut grants hatred.
Yeah, so if you're going to go Hashut, then I agree.
Yeah, but 20 points, it's cheap, hatred's good. Probably best on the Torok, as you said. I don't think it's worth it on the other characters.
I like it on the Torok a lot.
Torok's really good on it, but then there's other bits and pieces you can take.
Yep.
And our last magic weapon is a Dark Mace, and it's 60 points. Grants killing blow. Grants killing blow, and can also cause an automatic wound on everyone in base contact, friendly, enemy, and mount. So you just bonk your cow on the head. They take a wound, no arm saves allowed. 60 points is far too much for this item, I think.
Yeah, I agree. You want to put him onto the Taurus or a mount if you're gonna
for the increased base size.
Increased base size, but 60 points is a lot. Killing blow is a moderate rule. The guy that's carrying it's only got a few attacks, 3 attacks. I think they've got sorts of.
You can take it on your Infernal Castellans again, but
it's
then
worse though, isn't it?
But you are then killing your Infernal Guard, which are so many points.
No,
anyway.
they flew so high.
It flew so high. Yeah, just take the Black Hammer instead. If you want a magic weapon, take Black Hammer.
Yeah, I like dagger. I like the dagger.
You like a dagger, but I think the best one is Black.
Yeah, Black Hammer's disgusting. Yeah, it's amazing.
So we're gonna move on into our first piece of magic armor, which is the armor of Bazarak the Cruel.
Great name.
It's 50 points for a 2-up armor save that can't be improved by any means, and magic res. Magic res 2, sorry. It's not bad. You give up your 5-point ward save because it swaps your Black Shard armor out. You don't get 5 ward save against flame attacks anymore. And can realistically be recreated with Enchanted Shield and Obsidian Amulet.
Yeah, so this one is that's the problem, isn't it?
You can recreate it
because you can recreate it quite easily.
Yeah.
Although if you look at point for point, Armour of Silvered Steel is 45. You're only paying 5 points for MR2.
You're only paying 5
That's
points,
pretty good. Again, this one's a weird one because if you put it in with some regular Chaos Dwarf Warriors, particularly if they're getting hit by flaming spells, and there's quite a lot of them out there actually, you get 3-up ward save.
You are getting a 3 ward save.
That's pretty good.
The 5-up from the Black Shard and the Magic Res 2.
It's another one that I don't hate on the Torok either.
You don't have a Torok, no. 2-up armor save.
But again,
but he can get a 2-up armor. He can get a 1-up armor save for 20 points.
5 points.
No, so you got to buy the Black Shard.
I've got to buy the Black Shard.
You got to buy Black Shard 15. You got to buy a shield for 5.
Yeah, well, I forgot about the Black Shard. I was thinking about the Enchanted Shield.
No, you buy Black Shard armor and a shield, mate. He's got Scaly Skin 5+.
Yeah, does he not come with heavy armour?
Comes with heavy, but if you want the 1-up, you'll buy Black Shard.
No, you just buy Enchanted Shield.
Oh, you can do that as well.
Yeah, 5 points, baby.
But then Black Shard gives you the 5 ward save against flaming as well.
It does, but you know what? For 10 points, I can have Dragon Mage and that. Or a Dragon Helm and a Shield.
Yeah, you can.
That's very good.
Yeah, you can. So there are bits there. But the armour of Bazarak the Cruel, which we've sort of gone away from there, it's alright.
Yeah, point for point, it's a really good item. Whether you'll actually find a great amount of use in it in a Chaos Dwarf army, that's a big question. Yeah. In other armies, I like it, but actually, thinking about it, it's a pretty good choice on the Sorcerer Prophet, on the Sorcerer, the hero.
The Demon Smith.
Demon Smith, thank you. Because he gets 2-up save, which he can buy for the shield, but Magic Res is good.
Magic Res 2, because he's probably going to be running around himself with all the artillery in the back.
Yeah, so that's not bad if he's dancing around on his own. But yeah, I mean, like you say, it's going to struggle to find a place in this army. But in other armies, it would be amazing, yeah.
So you'll move on to probably a really good piece of equipment in my opinion as well.
I like this one.
It's the Mask of the Furnace. Now it's pricey for 65 points, and it's Chaos Dwarfs only. It's magic armour that counts the wearer counts his armour as being 1 point better than usual. That's one bonus. Causes fear, has a 4-up ward save and a 2-up ward save against flaming.
Yeah.
There are so many benefits to this item.
If you look at it, 65 points. You'd pay 45 normally
for the 4-up ward.
For the 4-up ward. Okay.
You pay 10 points for the 2-up ward save against flaming, or 5 points.
5 points. 5 points for the extra point of armour as well. So now you're up to 55. So you're paying 10 points to cause fear, which feels a little overcosted. But all of this is on one item. That's armour as well.
It's one armour, and that's you only. Then there's only really some bits of armour you want to take, and then they're usually taken up by say Charm Shield on the Battle Taurus mounted model, Enchanted Shield on say your Ball Send or Torok. This works well on an Infernal Castellan BSB.
Very strong. It's also very good on a source of profit on foot, I think, because I can take the Dawnstone.
You can take
as a talisman, and I can re-roll my armor save as well.
Yeah, so if you cast source of profit on foot,
3 up re-rollable armor save, 4 up ward save.
Yeah,
not bad.
It's a really strong piece of equipment. A lot of benefits, a lot of points. I always like an Infernal Castellan BSB. James said you can put.
I like it on that as well. Yeah. I think that's really strong.
Because he's increased point. He can then take, if he wants to, 10 points of other magic items as well.
Yeah, Luckstone's really good with
nice with it.
Reroll first failed. Armor save.
Really strong. If you can take any source of profit, but honestly, they want to take some of the other arcane items that are out there.
I've seen this and the Black Hammer on a Baltaurus character a few times.
He turns into a massive character.
He's a real beatstick then.
He is. And then we have another Chaos Dwarf only item next, and it's the Stone Mantle, which is a talisman that for 40 points grants +1 toughness at the expense of -1 initiative.
I think it's good.
Chaos Dwarf Initiative and Chaos Dwarf and Dwarf Initiative isn't great anyway as it is. So your Swords of Prophets are Initiative 3, your Demon Smiths are Initiative 2, I think Infernal Castellans are Initiative 3 as well. So you're not losing a lot, if I'm honest.
This is another one that's good if you're going to mount him on the Baltaurus though, because I think the Baltaurus initiative is 3 or 4 anyway.
I think
so you for initiative based checks you generally would use the highest. And it's obviously not where I want it to be.
When is it ever in this book? Where you want it to be?
And as a result,
Baltaurus.
They're initiative 3, so as a result you would just use the Baltauruses and get +1 toughness on your Lord, which is pretty.
It's pretty strong. For
nails.
40 points, they go up to toughness 6.
That's pretty hard.
And if you fail if you miscast, fail your toughness, you're then toughness 7.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
There is good stuff. It's talisman, so you wouldn't get a ward save for it though. If you lose out on the talisman of preservation, a talisman of protection, all that sort of jazz.
You do, yeah.
Yes, again good on a Castellan because you can take this in a Black Hammer Hashut.
Yep.
Become toughness 6 for a Castellan, Infernal Castellan, I think it is.
You certainly would because they're toughness 5.
Next page on. Just double check. Oh, the Infernal Castellan. Yeah, toughness 5. You become toughness 6 for your Infernal Castellan, which is solid. So 3 up armor save, or you get a 1 up armor save realistically because then it's easy enough to get a 1 up armor save. Toughness 6. Stubborn.
Yeah, baked in stubborn on the Castellan.
Baked in stubborn on Castellan. Castellans are very good. So yeah, it's a good point. 40 points a bit pricey, but all in all, it's pretty solid.
Yep.
And then we're going to move into our one and only Magic Banner, which is the Banner of Slavery, and for 35 points, gives all Hobgoblin units in 12 inches immune to psychology.
So this is a bit of an odd one, but it's actually quite good on your... To put this onto your Infernal Ironsworn, your core ones, is that what they're called?
Infernal Guard.
Infernal Guard, sorry. Your core castles with their 1 magic banner allowance. Because it allows you to have a couple of units of Hobgoblin Cutthroats around that then get immune to Psych, which is nice. It just means they won't be subject to the terror checks. I'm not sure I'd go mad for this one.
No,
but it's not bad.
I've put it down as a double-edged sword because having your goblins not run away, again, you're taking away the possibility of your goblins running away at all. Even though they've got Legion 10 from the general possibly and the rear off the BSB, you don't want to chance it, do you? So it takes away the chance.
I think it's good.
On the other side of it, your goblins then can't flee from combat.
Well, they can't voluntarily flee as a reaction.
Voluntarily flee from reaction, which you might want to do to try and to get a sort of flee off and put your opponent in the middle of the board.
Yeah, with 40 Hobgoblins, I probably wouldn't be too stressed.
I mean, but it also does affect your Hobgoblin Khans and your Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders if you take them.
Don't forget though, I can move out of 12.
You can move out of 12.
Don't have to stay in
You don't have to stay over 12, but it will affect those.
I don't know if I'd find the points for it, but it's not bad.
I personally myself, I don't like it because I like the options to want to flee from a charge.
Yeah.
But there are some uses for it, as we said. And then we're moving something that's pretty much a 1+. Really.
Iconic.
It's an iconic item in the Legion of Azgorh, and it's the Chalice of Blood and Darkness, which is 50 points and an arcane item.
It's my only response to it.
And it's a wordy one, so I'll give James the responsibility of reading it.
In any magic phase, the bearer may, if they wish, reduce the number of dice held in both sides' pools by d3 each. Roll these dice separately, declaring before rolling which applies to which side. If a double 1 is rolled between the dice, then the bearer suffers a wound with no armor save allowed. If double 6 is rolled, then the bearer may recover a wound previously lost during the game. So there was an FAQ for this, and it's a really important one, is that people were like, at any point, so, I pick up my dice to cast the last spell, I throw my last 4 dice or 5 dice, Max has saved 4 dice to dispel me.
4 3 dice, yeah.
And I then say, whoa. Before you attempt to dispel, I'm going to use the Chalice of Blood and Darkness and take D3 dice from me. I don't have any. And D3 dice from you. You now fail to dispel. So
You got FAQ'd.
To not be allowed to do that.
You can't do it mid-cast.
No, but it is a really good item regardless, because what you can do is you can sort of involve this in drawing dice, but where I think it's really powerful is if you've got a couple of other Sorcerer Prophets. You've got things like the Power Stone tucked into your list, things like the Forbidden Rod tucked into your list, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm quite happy to sacrifice dice. And when you roll a double, like double 2, double 3, you get a channel. Well, this is pretty much an auto throw for me.
See, because you don't have to do it at the beginning. You can do it any point in your magic phase as long as it's not in between casts.
No.
So if you say you got, like I said, the double, so double 4, double 5 magic dice, you roll 2 dice, your opponent rolls 3, Chalice and Blood of Darkness, you've lost the rest of your dice, so I've got, 4 dice left?
Yeah, strong. It's really tricksy to get the most out of, but it's a really good item, this one.
The last bits and pieces for this item, it's not one use only. You can use it every turn, including your opponent's turn as well.
And it's an if you wish.
If
you can say, I'm not going to use it, I don't want to.
But you can also be using your opponent's turn.
Yeah, you'd almost always use it in your opponent's turn.
Yeah. It's like, and then it's also cheap enough to go on your heroes.
Yeah.
Your hero level Demon Smiths. Really good item. Probably one of the most, next to Black Hammer, this is probably the one you see the most.
Yeah, it's really strong, this one.
And then last we have the Demon Flask of Ashak, which is a big spender at 100 points.
It certainly is.
And it's an enchanted item that is another wordy one, so we'll let James take it away for us.
This is one use only. Now, many people know how we feel about one use only items. Let's see how this one's going to work out.
Yeah, I can tell you it's not going to work out.
It's not a bounce spell, so that's a good start.
It's not a bounce spell.
The effect takes place at the start of the player's movement phase before charges are declared. All enemy units within 18, not immune to psychology or unbreakable, suffer a panic test. Buildings, structures, chariots, and other war machines within the range suffer D6 automatic wounds. Now that's not too sad. Note that this item's effect is not a bounce spell, and so may not be dispelled.
I don't know why they had to make that, because it doesn't specify it's a bounce spell at all.
No. I mean, look, the potentially killing chariots and killing war machines is great. Getting that dude within 18...
That's the main issue.
That's a huge issue.
Especially if you're on foot, especially if you're like, movement 3.
What are you going to do? Put him on a Barotaurus and fly him around on a Lamasu or something with no save?
Because you're 100 points. It's taking out all your magical allowance. 18 inches is a small range. The panic test on regular units is not great at all. Your 100 points for that is worthless.
Yeah.
The potential you can use heavy artillery, chariot rush builds is really good. So like the Chaos Chariot Rush, like the 6 Chaos Chariots in the core, the wagons and stanks in the Empire army.
This is one of those though, isn't it? Where you're playing with your mates.
Yeah.
And your mate's got this Chaos Chariot army, say, and he's been smashing everyone for weeks. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to tailor this up. That's where you see it getting used. But against everyone else, no, I don't think
it's so. It's not 100 points.
No.
It's not worth 100 points.
You're crazy.
18-inch range, really short, could be good, but too short range.
Full George, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
This is a beautiful book, but you are crazy.
You're crazy. So, you're crazy the layout of this book.
Yeah, you are. You are guilty of the layout of this book.
And then that ends the weird and wonderful magic items for the Chaos Dwarfs.
It does.
There are a few good ones.
Standouts, isn't there?
Good ones in there. So standouts would be Black Hammer, Mask of the Furnace, Chalice and Blood Darkness. You really like the Dagger of Malice.
I quite like the Stone Mantle. I think the Banner of Slavery's got a place. It's only 2 or 3 for me that are really poor.
Yeah, Dark Mace is a bit poor. Demon Flask of Ashak is
terrible.
Poor.
Yeah, I mean even the Armour of Bazarak's good. It's just I'm probably not going to take it on this army.
No, but no. So that's it. It's quite nice. To be honest, that'll be the most we all like. We've liked the most.
Yeah,
items.
This is up there with Vampire Counts for the ones that we liked.
That ends that. So now we're going to move into a bit. I think a section we've been looking most forward to. We're going to talk about the unique Chaos Dwarf magic lore, which is the Lore of Hashut, and to see if it is any good.
If it's any good, I love it.
We'll give it some points here.
If it's any good, let's find out.
Let's find out. Well, now that that's out of the way, we've gone through the majority of the book now. One final section left, and that is to analyse the Lore of Hashut. And the way that we do this is with our magic lore rating system, which can be found on triplecrownwargaming.com/ratings. But to put it simply, we'll give the lore a score, out of 24 based on 6 criteria. A variety of spell types, the power and frequency of the Lore Attribute, average spell range, spell flexibility, average casting value, and the quality of the signature spell. So, Lore of Hashut. Not a lot of people know a lot about this lore because no one really uses Chaos Dwarves and no one really
They're
takes
not that common.
Not that common at all because they were very expensive army when they were available.
On the tabletop.
No.
I think my overriding feeling before we start is I'm frustrated by the Lore of Hashut. It's got some soaring highs and some amazing stuff about it.
and it's got
some
lows.
real horrible drawbacks,
Yeah.
and the combination means that it doesn't
do all that much.
It sort of gets it's a funny one. I do think it's strong though.
Yeah, so let's find out anyway. So the first point we're going to talk about is a Lore Attribute, which is Killing Fire. Direct damage and magic missiles that are targeted on a flammable model have D3 added to the casting attempt. That's poor. It's trash.
So this is one of the low points that we discussed a minute ago.
It is really one of the low points. It's a trash. Like how many? Right, off the top of your head, how many models are uniquely flammable? Tomb Kings,
Yetis, Tomb Kings.
I mean Yetis are flammable, are they?
If they're not, they should be. They're made of ice.
Tomb Kings and Tomb Kings Tree Kin and Tree Men for certain.
Yeah, maybe Yetis.
Maybe Yetis. So that's 4. Out of 16 armies, which have about 20 odd units in each army.
Yeah, I can't think of much that's
uniquely flammable.
That's uniquely flammable.
Now we're going to talk about a spell again. We're going to talk about a spell that this one spell keeps coming up because it's so good. That does make units flammable, but you have to combine a spell to make the Lore Attribute actually work.
Yeah.
Trash Lore Attribute, it's really not that good. If you're playing Wood Elves, you're in the money a little bit there.
It literally does just affect about half the spells in the lore as well.
3. I mean, if it's 4 spells.
Yeah, so again, that's another problem really, is that I can't even get it on all my spells as well, which is really annoying.
Yeah. So let's move on because we're just getting really sad there. So we're going to move on to the signature spell, and it's Breath of Hatred. And it's cast on a 6+. It's an augment spell with a range of 12 inches. The target unit gains hatred, and you can boost it to affect all units within 12 inches for an increased value of 15.
So it's an additional 9 to cast the boosted version.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Which is really harsh.
It's really harsh. Hatred is always good. As you said, like the Dagger of Malice, hatred is a good rule. The other strong point of this spell is remains in play.
Yeah, which is a bit weird.
It's a weird remains in play spell.
Because I can cast it early in the game and then sort of sit the hatred on a unit for the whole game. But then the turn you charge me, you can just throw your power dice at it and stop it, which is rubbish.
But they did FAQ it though as well to say if you do cast it on a unit that is already engaged in a combat, you cast on a unit, they gain hatred.
I mean, the positive of remains in play, of course, is that opponents will attempt to dispel it. The negative of it being a remains in play hatred is that once the first round of combat's done, there's absolutely no point in them dispelling it.
No.
So it's going to be one that's best used on your own turns. The army isn't combat heavy. It's not a combat...
Unless you design it to be combat heavy.
You can, yes, I agree. But...
as a standard army, it's not combat. It doesn't want
certainly,
to be combat.
hatred's best when it's employed on units with lots of attacks. It's going to be good on something like a Kadai as well. It's worth pointing out, the Destroyer. But
I think it's also worth it on, say, a unit of Bull Centaurs. It makes the lack of attacks they have, it makes every attack that you have pretty much try and hit there.
That's a fair point. I think just overall, though...
It's not a great signature. It's not bad.
Really short range.
Yeah, 12 inches is short range.
So I'm either going to play uber defensive and cast it like once or twice at the end of the game, or I'm going to try and get at you, put myself up on the Battle Taurus and go at you hard, and then get a bit more out of it. But I don't know.
It's hard.
Well, it gets how many points for signature spell? I know I'm jumping the
2.
2 out of 4, and I think that's probably the best description that I can give of Breath of Hatred is it's a 2 out of 4 spell.
Yeah. So that's that. So then we're going to move into the first spell proper, which is Burning Wrath. It's a magic missile and an 8-inch range. It's cast on a 6+, and it causes D6 strength 6 hits. Can be boosted to 2d6 strength 6 hits for a value of 12+.
So that part I like.
The strength's really good.
I like the flaming as well.
Flaming, is it flaming as well?
So it inflicts, which counts as flaming attacks.
Ooh, so its strength is really good. But the flame is good as well. It's just let down by that diabolically short range.
And again, it's a really short range when I'm not that manoeuvrable, unless I go on to the... And this is the thing, I think Hashut seems so much better when you put it onto the Battle Taurus, because this really helps to offset a lot of the problems that you start to see, which is that the lore generally works better for the sort of choppy side of Chaos Dwarves than for the blasty side. And in general, the ranges are not as good as you'd hope they would be.
No, I said if you could boost, the boosted version gave it 12-inch range as well. It's just an extra 4 inches. I think it'd be alright.
It would be better.
It'd be better.
Still wouldn't be good. But, I mean, look, I think that the range would be anything less than sort of 18 is really poor. I mean, 18 you very often struggle to get in range. The Chaos Tools are not good movers, but what really good strength. Flaming's really useful, can do quite a lot of hits if you want it to. It's a good spell, it's just really short range.
Yeah. So we're going to move on from that. The next spell is Dark Subjugation. It's a hex spell which casts on 8 with a 24-inch range.
Better.
A lot better range. The target must take a leadership test at -3 or suffer -1 to the leadership test. Suffer -1 to the leadership for the rest of the game. Unbreakable units are immune. It's another mess spell.
Well, each time the victim it says here at the bottom, it does say for the rest of the game, each time it is a victim of the spell to a minimum of 2. So you can keep casting.
You can keep casting.
It's a low cast value. Now look, this has got good synergy. You can take the Lore of Death with
Doom and Darkness.
With Chaos Dwarves, that's what we're talking about.
There you go.
And if you can get the Doom and Darkness off and then drop this.
And then drop a Hell Cannon shot on them as well for the -1 panic test.
There's loads of cool stuff here. I mean, look, it is got use, but you're really going to need to do it a few times probably to really get the mileage.
The -1, the permanent loss of leadership is always quite nice.
Yeah, permanent is great.
And it said if you want -1 leadership, if you want minus leadership to combine with Hell Cannon, maybe looks to death possibly.
That's probably better for the Hell Cannon, but I certainly think that this with death could have some nice mileage knocking down enemy blocks that are stubborn, things like White Lions or Blackguard, that type of unit.
It has its nuanced uses, but probably not the first pick you would want.
No.
So we're going to move on to the Curse of Hashut, which is a direct damage with a range of 18 and it's cast on a 10. The target, which can be a model in a unit, suffers a number of hits equal to 2d6 minus their toughness. They're wounded on a 4+ with no armor save.
So it's like a cross between...
I think it is Crest Lanith in all but name.
I think Lanith might use strength, and I think Bunya might use toughness.
Maybe then, yeah.
So it's a bit of a weird cross, yeah. But
so it's 2d6 minus toughness, wound on 4+ with no arm save allowed.
I think it's good.
Good spell.
Yeah.
It's probably the first light spell that we can unanimously say is just good all round.
Just
really.
good, yeah. 18-inch range is great for a snipe.
I think because Caress and Fate they only have 12-inch range, don't they? You can boost Caress up to 24.
Again, Dark Subjugation. Another thing that's good with that is the terror calls from the Battleline.
We're going back to Dark Subjugation.
just looking at this again because I'm thinking again. Curse of Hashut. I want a manoeuvrable character to deliver this, so I want him on a Battleline. That's strong. Dark Subjugation can have some mileage with terror calls in threats like the Kadai or the Baltaurus.
Burning Wrath.
Burning Wrath, I want to be close to get that job done. Again, really good.
Breath of
Hatred, I need to get in your grill to get mileage out of that.
Works wonders on the Baltaurus itself.
Yeah, it works wonders on him or on the Kadai.
Maybe they should just call this the Lore of Baltaurus.
Maybe. Let's see what Ashstorm does. That can't be a good spell, can it?
Then, before we get there, the last bit, the increased range of over Crest, the Curse of Hashut helps this spell out quite a bit, and it helps you snipe models and characters effectively.
It's good at decking those. If you think someone's got the Crown of Command, it's excellent.
I just decking that, yeah.
Because you can get this stuff off, and again, little things like magic resistance and things like that in units. You can target that model specifically. All right, you still might not kill them, but if you do get it out, it's excellent.
Also helps with like sniping out champions so they don't get challenged out on your big monsters.
Yeah, that's a really good choice. Again, Lore of Baltaurus.
Right. Yeah. Lore of Baltaurus. Right, so we're now here. It's now happening. We now move into one of the most feared spells in the game, let alone the lore.
Shall I read it?
It's Ashstorm, a hex spell with range 24 inches, and it's cast on a 12. And because it has a lot of effects, I'm going to let James read.
You're going to ask me to.
I was going to ask you to read it.
I just don't want to get it wrong.
No,
the target unit suffers -1 to hit in close combat and -2 to hit with shooting attacks until the start of the caster's next magic phase. So you're thinking, that's really good.
That's really good. Double sided.
That's really good. Good range, hex, minuses to hit. Yeah, I'd pay 12 for that. But wait, there's more. In addition, the target unit may only use its basic movement and may not charge, march, or fly. Okay, that's really good. Yeah. The unit also treats all terrain types, except impassable terrain, as dangerous terrain whilst this spell effect lasts. So that's if it moves for any reason.
Moves for any reason.
So at the minute we are like
We've got Curse Hammer here.
Curse Hammer here on steroids.
We got what else? We got can't mook. You got
failing a net of Amantop.
Failing a net of Amantop, or sort of weirder version of say Acquiescence from Lore of Hashut.
Oh, wait, there's more.
No, wait, there's more.
Wizards cannot cast magic spells except on themselves whilst under the effects of this hex. Any unit under the effects of the spell is also treated as being flammable. Excuse me.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's an amazing spell.
It's so there's so many effects. This spell I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with this spell.
I like to think there's a dartboard with effects on it, and they just threw the darts and was like, so it's going to be a hex, and it's going to make you hard to hit. Okay, cool. What else we got? Well, we want more. Yeah, I've got some more darts. Oh, let's see what else we got. It's going to make you flammable, and it's also going to stop you moving. Excellent.
It's also going to stop you from casting spells
from...
You can't cast spells apart from yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Stops Lore of Death.
Yeah.
Stops Lore of Metal.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you roll a double, this is your first bit. There's no question.
And again, it allows you to activate your lore attribute as well on your spells on units that wouldn't ordinarily be able to have it activated on them because it makes them flammable.
Yeah, like I say, if you roll for the spell, you keep it regardless of what other spells you want. If you roll a double, you take it regardless of what spells.
To be honest, the minuses to hit with combat and shooting are good alone. You'd keep it for that alone. They're strong abilities. But once you stop them moving or charging, and I mean that's so powerful as well. I mean it's just such a good spell. I can't talk highly enough about it.
Hang on, we've got to talk about the multitude of combinations in this army.
Yeah.
Death Shriek rocket launchers are flammable.
Yes.
Kadai are flammable.
Flaming.
Flaming. Sorry. The Black Hammer Hashut instantly kills anything that's flammable.
Yeah.
So you stick like these Cow Source of Profit, make the unit flammable, charge the Gut Star, whap.
Well, the Gut Star might have a banner that stops it, but
you might be able to do it.
But anything multiple wounds, does not want any part of that.
What else is out there that's flaming at this point in time? Magma cannons.
Yep.
D3 times 2.
Yeah.
From their wounds.
Yeah, they just double it, didn't they?
Yeah, they just double it.
Times 2. Horrible thing. You start dropping that on anything, and they're pinned. And
they
they're
can't
pinned.
move. They can't mark.
So then you are controlling the charges, and you're controlling the punch. This one is the spell that actually makes the shooting side of your army good as well.
Yeah.
It's the combat side of your army.
Yeah, like you don't swap this out. You don't swap this for anything.
Great spell.
Always take this spell. So we're going to move from that because
there's also more flammable options, but I'm going to wait till we get to the end.
Yeah, there is one more flammable option that we can come up with.
Yep.
I think there's two more. So the next one might be flamed as well.
Okay, Hellhammer.
Hellhammer is our next spell. It's the penultimate spell. It's a direct damage that's cast on a 13 that has a range of a 3d6 inch straight line. Any model touched by the line must take an initiative test or suffer a strength 6 hit with multiple wounds D3. Any unit that suffers a casualty must take an immediate panic test, and you can double the range for an increased cast of 18 plus.
So yeah, adding 5 for that. So again, we're back to it's really good on the Baltaurus because I can get him on the ends of units. I can drop multiple wounds as well with it.
3d6, when you think about it, isn't a lot.
No, it's maximum 18.
Maximum 18.
You're only going to average about 9. Well, 9 to 11 I think is the average range of 3d6.
I mean, strength 6 multiple wounds D3 is really nice. The straight line has to be in the front arc of the Source of Profit. Because Source of Profit are the only ones that can take Lore of Hashut. The heroes can't take Lore of Hashut, it's only the lords that can take it.
Yeah.
So it's only the front arc, and the line has to start from the base of the Source of Profit.
Yes.
So it's not going to be a lot. The strength 6 multiple wounds D3 is nice. It's helped by once again by the caster flying.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just this lore is designed to be on a Baltaurus.
Get him on a Baltaurus, get him into great positions, and this can be another spell that can cause big threat. Also, don't forget that like enemy artillery pieces automatically fail initiative tests, so they just take a strength 6 hit that does D3 wounds.
So you fly them up there, just take that. So the strength 6 is 5 to win the artillery, unfortunately.
But it's
still got roll dice. Again, it's relatively the minimum cast value isn't too high, to be honest.
13. It's not great.
It's not bad.
The overall average cast value in this lore is not so great because there's quite a few that are sort of 10 or greater.
Right, and then that's the Hellhammer, and we're going to move into our last spell, number 6, which is the Flames of Azgorh. And this stuff. Again, I don't know what they'll think of this one.
This is mad.
Flames of Azgorh is a doozy. It's a direct damage spell that has a base cast value of 18 plus.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's one off Flaming Convocation.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Fiery Convocation, sorry. It doesn't have a range. You pick a point on the battlefield in line of sight of the caster, and you place the small blast template and scatter it d6 inches.
It remains on the target if a hit is rolled.
Yes. Models hit take a flaming strength 6 hit with multiple wounds d6.
Yes.
The entire template.
Yes. Yes.
Like, the entire template is multiple wounds d6. The model under the hull must say a toughness test at -2 or be removed from play with no saves of any kind.
He's just dead.
He's dead. He's dead, Chief. I played...
You do get a lookout sirs though, because
you do get a lookout sirs, but
template.
I played, when we went to Cardiff earlier on this year, I played Chaos Dwarves. I got Flames of Azgorh on my Chimera. Direct hit. I was dead.
They're only toughness 3 then, yeah. Because it's -2 to the test.
It was ridiculous. You can boost it to a large blast at 25 plus.
It's a big cast, but I mean it's horrendous, yeah.
That is a unit killer.
It is when it's multiple wounds d6 times 2 because I Ashton.
You
well.
You get Ashton and the big Flames of Azgorh on a gut star.
On anything really, like
Can you cast? Would the rune more affect the Flames of Azgorh? You don't technically cast it. You pick a point in the battlefield.
Small unit on the chosen target point. I mean, it's
point.
a weird one. Yeah. It's another one of those badly worded things. I think you probably would say because it says target that you're targeting
okay, we'll go from there.
But I certainly think there's strength 6 Demigryph Knights have a big problem with this.
Yes, that's a 4-palm save.
Yeah. So do Skull Crushers.
Mournfang.
So do Mournfang. So do Beast and Nurgle.
That's flaming. They got fireball save against it.
Yeah. And if you get the flammable off,
you get flame off.
they're super dead, mate. They're super dead.
There's no model in this game that shouldn't fear this. Even those with a ward save against flaming should fear the hull.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because you just take them tough says -2 and it will die.
Yeah. Strong.
The unlimited range is ridiculous. I can see that point. I'm in this corner. In my corner here. I can see that corner over there.
Again, the line of sight rules they make for a madness because you've just got to draw a line from the eye of the caster to wherever you want to place it. Which is, again, we're looking at the Baltaurus. This is going to be practically like a
big arc. Yeah.
protractor at school. What they called it. Like it's 180 degrees or whatever. It's absolutely humongous. It's so good.
And then. Just the ice on the cake. It only scatters d6 inches, regardless.
Even on the big one.
Even on the big version, just scatters d6 inches.
I mean, look. Even if you're ignoring the multiple wounds, strength 6 flaming hits for everyone under that thing. That's a unit smasher.
So there's no risk you actually hitting yourself with this either, because you don't have misfire.
Not unless you put it right next to yourself.
Yeah, and you scatter just d6 inches. It's redonkulous. This is going to be the second pick of your claws and the spells as well.
It is, yeah.
After Ashstorm, because Ashstorm is just redonkulous itself. But then the Flames of Azgorh is your second pick. So that's that. And yes, that's the Flames of Azgorh, and that's the Lore of Hashut done.
It is, yeah.
Let's get the rating.
Close the book. Put it back on the book chair.
So we get 4 for variety of spells, 2 for power and frequency of the lore attributes, 3 for average spell range, 3 for spell flexibility, 2 for average casting value, and 2 for the quality of the signature spell.
And that's the 2 that really let it down. It's that
there's 3. There's 3 of them.
Oh, sorry. It's
the lore attribute as well.
The lore attribute is only a 2 because it just doesn't activate that often.
Casting
I have
value.
to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Casting values are actually quite high overall. The average is well over 10.
And the signature spells.
And the sig is just a little bit disappointing. So
it gives us a total of 16 out of 24, which is, I think it's the lowest we've done so far.
I think the Skaven ones were lower.
Oh yeah, because they didn't have lore attribute.
Yeah, or a sig.
Or Lord of the Wild.
I think we gave
Lord of the Wild as well.
Lord of the Wild didn't get great. I think the problem is just is quite prescriptive. The lore overall, it's got a couple of absolute smash standout spells, and then a few that are a little less exciting. It's got a really poor attribute, and the sig is only alright.
Yeah, some of the spells are not that good, and the attribute is pure trash. But some of the spells are really good.
Pure trash.
Although I can see the fact that this lore is pretty much carried on the back of the two of the spells. So
yeah,
Flames of Azgorh and Ashstorm.
And there's others that are decent, but those 2 are really incredible.
But that's the Lore of Hashut, and we're now going to move into the final section of the deep dive today, which is going to be our sample army lists. So we finish up with some sample army lists, and we have 3 very different 2,500 point lists, One of them is completely uncomped, ensure what one of us would likely take if there was no restrictions. Then we have 2 lists using Triple Crown using the Triple. Then we have 2 lists using the Triple Crown GT comp. One is an aggressive players list and one is a defensive players list.
Okay.
So first up we have the uncomped list. And so we first have the Sorcerer Prophet, obviously the only law choice we actually have to take. So level 4, I put him on the Lore of Hashut. I know before we discussed the benefits of being on a flying model, but I think the Flames of Azgorh and Ash Storm help out a lot if you do roll them up.
Yep.
He's got the Chalice of Blood and Darkness, an Enchanted Shield, and a Talisman of Preservation.
Is he on foot then?
He is on foot.
He's on foot, that one.
Mm-hmm. We also have a Demon Smith Sorcerer, who's level 1 on the Lore of Fire with a Spell Scroll and the Ruby Ring of Ruin.
Cool.
Nice chaff clearance there.
Solid.
Infernal Castellan with he's our BSB, who has a Great Weapon and the Mask of the Furnace. We have a Hobgoblin Khan on a Giant Wolf with a Spear and the Shield of Patalos. He said it.
I did say it.
Another Hobgoblin Khan on a Giant Wolf with a Spear, Shield, Light Armour, Dragon Helm, and Potion of Full Hardiness.
Okay,
So I
interesting.
have 5 points to spend.
Yeah, why not? Get him an extra attack.
And then we
Kill other people's chaff, won't he? You'll kill other people's chaff.
And so in our core we have 29 Infernal Guard with full command and great weapons. We have 40 Hobgoblin Cutthroats with full command and shield. A Death Trigger Rocket Launcher, 2 Magma Cannons, a Hell Cannon, and a Kadai Destroyer.
Ooh.
So it's strong. It comes out as a -5, and I think it's pretty well rounded.
Yeah.
You get it's as well
That's
rounded.
really unconvincing. Yeah. No, yeah, it is. It is.
Might change this.
No, I don't think I would. I think it's pretty good.
I think it's as well rounded as you can get with Chaos Dwarfs, if I'm honest. We have a solid unit that won't budge with the Infernal Guard, because
Yep.
you'd be leash at 10 stubborn.
Yep.
If the Infernal Castellan doesn't die, and to be honest, he shouldn't particularly
Not the
die.
Master Furnace, should it?
No. Who are all strength 6 and stubborn thanks to the Infernal Castellan and the Great Weapons. A good amount of bodies to chug up a unit with the Hobgoblins. Some actual chaff with the two Khans on wolves, although you can chuck in the regular Hobgoblins as chaff if needs be towards the end of the game.
They're holding, aren't they?
We have monstrous support with the Kadai and the Hell Cannon at a push, because the Hell Cannon is a monster at the end of the day.
Yeah. And in that list, I would think about the Hell
Yeah.
Cannon using it like that too.
It's a monster. So the Kadai is obviously as good as we said it was. And then last we have the Artillery Hill with support of the Wizards to really put the fear into your opponent, to make them have to come to use it anyway.
It's just great combined arms Warhammer, isn't
Yeah.
it? It does lots of blasting, and it does really punchy counter charge with the Kadai and the big unit of Chaos Dwarf Warriors.
And the Hell Cannon, I said,
And the Hell Cannon potentially as well, yeah.
The Lore of Hashut, depending on what spells you get, can also put a lot more pressure on your opponent, especially if you get Flames of Azgorh. Means you can go anywhere on the board, like there.
Yeah, that's really strong, isn't it? I would also consider Lore of Metal on that, because also profit in that list as well.
Lore of Metal was very good on sort of the foot profits. I think is quite good.
It's really good on that combined arms approach again, where in the early turns you can be hitting your opponent with unit killers and damage, and then in the later turns you can be buffing up your troops.
So
Hashut does a very similar thing.
Hashut does a very good, does similar thing, and obviously you can then chuck the Hobgoblins out in front to take the charge, counter charge in the flanks with your Infernal Guard and Kadai. It's just standard. It's standard Warhammer.
It's just play it safe Warhammer.
It's how Warhammer is played in the very combined arms sense.
Yeah.
You've got Chalice and Blood and Darkness, so you can really hamper your opponent's magic phase as well. You've got a chaff clearance of Lore of Fire with Ruby Ring of Ruin on the level 1, which is always quite good to be honest.
Yeah, you double fireball, and if you
Double
roll Flaming Sword,
Flaming
that's
Sword,
incredible,
if Flaming Sword.
So, yeah.
And obviously you got the Magma Cannons and Death Shrieker.
Which we talked about at length earlier. They're
Magma
excellent.
Cannons are good, Death Shriekers are good. You may even think, oh, you haven't got a much monstrous killing support. Like we've got the Death Shrieker, the Demo Rocket. We've got the Hell Cannon who does the monstrous monster hunter itself well.
Lore of Hashut.
Lore of Hashut, just get the Flames of Azgorh, turn it, or just make him flammable.
Yeah.
And just Magma Cannon it.
Again, when they get close, the D6 strength 6 hits, or 2D6
Yeah,
strength 6 hits. From the
Burning Hammer?
No,
not Burning Wrath. I got here.
Burning Wrath, is it? Yeah.
Burning Wrath, yes.
Got overexcited.
We've got Burning Wrath. It's Hell Hammer, Burning Wrath.
Yeah. There's
So-
lots of options.
It's just there's a lot of stuff in there. It's just all combined.
Good all round
It's all round. So and that's the first. That's uncomped. That's it. It's -5. It's not even that bad of a comp, if I'm
Not
honest.
really. You could take that to a comp.
You could take, and you'd be like, yeah, I've just got to win. Got to just make up a couple of hundred points.
200 points in each game.
Each game.
It's not that undoable, is
No.
it?
And the next list is to show how many people classically view Chaos Dwarves, and this is the War Machine spam.
Yeah. So this is Artillery Hill.
This is Artillery
This
Hill.
is your defensive list, I assume.
This is completely defensive list.
Okay.
So we have Sorcerer Prophet, level 4 on the Lore of Metal this time
Yeah,
round.
100%.
Chalice of Blood and Darkness, the Enchanted Shield, and Talisman of Preservation.
Yep.
The only thing that's changed there is his lore. We have a Demon Smith Sorcerer, who's level 1 on the Lore of Fire with a Spell Scroll. Another Demon Smith Sorcerer who has level 1 on the Lore of Fire with Ring of Ruin.
It's just that blasting, that spam blast, isn't it?
Because you don't have a lot of... You don't want to use your war machines for chaff hunting.
No. And you've got 3 re-rolls on the war machines from those sorcerers, those smiths as well.
Again, we have a Hobgoblin Khan, Giant Wolf, Spear... Oh, Giant Wolf and Shield of Ptolos. No spear this time. Couldn't afford it.
Let's let the spear go.
Nah, well.
We'll live.
And then again, we have an Infernal Castellan BSB with a Fire Glaive this time, the Iron Curse icon, and a Mask of the Furnace again. Just a little bit extra onto him, just to help out. 2 units of Infernal Guard. One is 18, one is 17, with full command and Fire Glaives. I think they're the better choice out of the shooting option for them.
Yeah.
Because they're double hands a halberd as well, so they can handle some combat in the needs be as well.
Yeah.
And then we're on to the fun bits. We've got 2 Death Shrieker rocket launchers, 2 Magma Cannons, a Dreadquake mortar, and a Hell Cannon.
Yeah, you just had all the flavours. 6 pieces of artillery.
6 pieces of artillery.
Oh, this is going to hurt on the
Now, that is how an artillery hill should look like, ladies and gentlemen. That is how it's done. It does cover the cost of -6.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So it's only
it's
only one worse than the regular list, than the
all-rounder list.
The all-rounder list.
Yeah.
It's only one worse. Is this the best army you can do for Chaos Dwarves? No, not really.
No, I like the. I do like the all-round actually for them. I think they're quite good combined arms. But again, this is a good list. This is strong because I can use the 2 Chaos Dwarf units really as
chaff
almost if I want to. In fact, I could even split them down smaller and have 3 units of like a dozen.
You could, yeah.
And do the same sort of thing.
It does put an immense amount of pressure on your opponent.
Oh, it really does. All those Demon Smiths can become redirects as well if they need to in the late game.
If you start losing war machines, and there's no more chaff to put a fireball into, you can just chuck them out. They're not going to be the quickest thing in the world, but they can still get out there at some point.
The only issue is your counter charge is dependent on just those 2 units.
It's 2 units of Infernal Guard, yeah.
But you know it's not
awful.
The Castellan will deck a lot of stuff as well.
So he does. This is what a lot of artillery hills do suffer with, is holding the opponent back before they crash into the opponent.
Yeah.
The artillery. A lot of artillery can't deal with large amounts of infantry. Chaos Dwarf artillery can deal with swathes of infantry.
Yeah.
Like the Death Shriek's a large blast, the Flamer templates, the blast from the Dreadquakes and the Hell Cannons.
Yep.
It all works.
Lots of control in this list.
Lots of control. You got the level 4 metal. You got Final Trans, Enchanted Blades.
Stupidity problems, Enchanted Blades for hits.
You got Glittering Robes, Searing Doom, all that lovely stuff.
Those smaller units, when you start Glittering Robe them, they really will hold up as well.
And the Fire Glaives aren't the best, but they still give you a bit of punch in combat, and you have good chaff clearance for 2 Fire Wizards.
Yeah. You move them forward so that they can get stand and shoot as well if they can.
And so that's the artillery. That's the standard artillery hill build sort of thing. And so we're going to move into, which is a rare sight.
The Khan's job in that is just to sort of get out in front of the one thing you can't deal with in the sort of late game.
Probably rush down.
Hold him back.
Try and rush down the ball. Maybe see if you can get rid of some of the artillery that could threaten your own artillery. If you don't want to waste it. If they've got it. If you don't want to waste your artillery in artillery duels, because it might be a bit of a waste at that point, but go from there. And then we're going to move into our final one, which is a rare sight, and it's the Dwarven Rush.
I think this is a good list.
This
is what Tim Richardson, long-time friend of
the show.
Tim's obviously been on with his Empire. He runs the Napoleonic Wargaming channel. This is very much his style of Chaos Dwarf list.
Yeah, he took a similar list, not the exact same, a very similar list to Cardiff.
He won best Chaos Dwarves at Cardiff. Didn't
he was the only Chaos Dwarf.
Oh, okay. That's a bit of a cheap shot, but okay.
I loved him. But who doesn't win by default?
No, who doesn't love a good default win?
But anyway, so Dwarven Rush, we have a Sorcerer Prophet, level 4, Lore of Death this time, with a Power Stone, the Charm Shield, Talisman of Preservation, and on a Bale Taurus, the big man over there. And then we have an Enchanted Shield.
An Enchanted Shield just laying around on the floor.
An Infernal Castellan this time with BSB, Enchanted Shield, and a Great Weapon. No Mask of the Furnace, so I didn't have the points for it because he's pricey.
Sometimes you have to just suck it up.
And then we have a Bull Centaur Torok with Black Shard Armour, a Great Weapon, the Crown of Command, and the Dragon Helm. Another Bull Centaur Torok with Black Shard Armour, Shield, Sword of Striking, and Potion of Speed. 28 Infernal Guard with full command, Great Weapons, and a Banner of Swiftness. 40 Hobgoblin Cutthroats, full command, Shields. 5 Bull Centaur Renders, full command, Shields, Great Weapons, and a Razor Standard. And a Kadai Destroyer.
Yeah. So you've got 2 big hard monsters. You've got a block that you can make stubborn and grind stuff to death with a Torok.
And they're going to be a quicker with a banner of swiftness. 2 inches quicker return.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the Battle Taurus with the two. Not the Battle Taurus, the Bull Centaurs with the 2 Toroks. But yeah, you've also got that block there.
Because they're both going to be stubborn. They both could be stubborn. With the Crown and the Castellan.
And the Castellan, 100%. And the Hobgoblins you're doing a bust, so they'll probably be steadfast.
You see, if that list doesn't scream in your face, I don't know what will. And it's also -2.
Yeah, well, you've left all the artillery.
There's no artillery, so we do get the benefit of having no artillery. And the main stars of the army, as James said, is the monstrous stuff. The Destroyer, the Murder Cow, and then what I'm coining as the Torok delivery system.
Yes.
There you go, I told you I'd coined it in. With the Bull Centaurs, they're all pretty quick. Like the Bull Centaurs, they're movement 7, they're not the quickest thing, but they're still quicker.
They're quick enough to keep up with the blocks.
They are quick, or to outrun the blocks, or just do what they stand next to them. And you'll be in your opponent's grill pretty early doors.
That Lore of Death Wizard is terrifying as well.
Yeah.
Hashut would also work in that list. Both are strong.
The Centaur heroes both being absolute machines themselves, both for 1-up armour save. So Black Shell armour, Scaly Skin 5+, and a shield. Or shield on one of them.
Dragon Helm on the other.
Dragon Helm on the other. There you go. We have one with the Great Weapon who's just a can opener.
Yep.
He's strength 7. If he's in the unit, he's got -5. Yeah. He's strength 7 armor piercing at that point, -5 to armor. Yeah, it's pretty strong.
And he can just they can peel off as well. Those
Tauroks,
they can start cannoning out, very similar to the way you might use a Scarvet on Karn.
Your big cow one. Your bigger cowboys.
Cowboy.
Literally the cowboys.
The cowboys, if you were.
And then the other Torok is there to make a little bit mincemeat of infantry because he's +1 to hit, strength 5, with 4 attacks.
Yeah.
Potion of speed if he comes up against a faster character.
What's not to like about all that stuff?
So he becomes initiative 7 with potion of speed. Ridiculous.
It's quick, isn't it?
Really quick. And in fact, the weakest part of the army is probably going to be the infantry. So they won't be able to get there fast enough.
Yeah, that's the only drawback. That's what Tim always says actually about that. Doing that type of list is the infantry.
The infantry is just too slow.
But that's not bad because they're holding up precious points, and a lot of your opponents will try and come at you a bit.
They'll try to match the aggression. So you might, if they're matching your aggression, you hold off a little bit with the monsters, put on flanks, let the dwarves take the hit, and the goblins take the hit. They're going to hold,
and then bring it in.
Bring it to the flanks.
Bring it.
And of course, we have the great leveler, which is Lore of Death and a fly monster.
Yeah, we know how good that is. We talked about that at length.
Everyone fears in the end. You should be aware of what happens with
Soulblight, Beam of Darkness,
Purple Sun, and
I mean, to be honest, all the spells are good, but those are going to really stand out.
The snipe spell, and then you also got the Power Stone, which halves casting value.
No, Power Stone gives you 2 free power dice.
Oh, is it 2 free power dice? I'm thinking Power Scroll.
Power Scroll.
Okay, so 2 free power dice. You want to chuck it, say the big Purple Sun.
What I like about that is you draw a dice out from your opponent, they think to yourself, he's only got a couple left, 2 or 3, he's not going to be able to get a big one off, he's not going to be able to get something really important off, he's only got 1 dice, say. And that's when you pop your Power Stone, chuck 2 on top, and you can get either one big one or a crucial Doom and Darkness, something like that. I'm a huge fan of the Power Stone with Lore of Death, actually. I think it's really strong.
So I said, even if you've got like 2 or 3 dice left, Power Stone, Purple Sun, get your dice back, get 12, get another 12 like magic.
Get another magic phase, yeah.
Like it's just that in itself, that's Warhammer that's been going around for years at this point.
I mean, you can do it with other factions. Why not do it with these guys?
Yeah, but that's it. So this is a list I actually wouldn't want to try one day. I'd have to get another Torok. I'd have to get some. I'd have to get some Infernal Gold Great Weapons. I'd love to do it one day.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, but that's it. That's the army lists, and that's the deep dive.
It is.
Bit of a short one today because there's not a lot.
A bit of a short. I bet it's still 3 hours.
No, it'd be around that mark, I'd say. But yeah, we are done. The Dark Lands have been done. We've explored them, and it's only cost us a deal with the Darizar that James is unaware of at the moment. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Door bursts in. Short door will take you out.
Dwarves drag me off.
Hopefully you can see that the Chaos Dwarves do really have some tricks up their sleeves, and can bring the hurt from a distance as well as in close quarters. But it will come at a cost of premium points.
Yeah.
A real premium on your points for the models. Though they are a rarity to see on the tabletop, so they're pretty cool when they do turn up. But that's it. As always, feel free to give us your feedback on the socials, all the links for which are below. And thanks for watching, and join us again next time, where we'll take a look at another Warhammer army, if I get my words out there. or head back to the mustering ground to check out some of our other exclusive content.
We're going to go pay some cows to Walls to get Scott back.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Unfortunately.
I told him that was me. No, that's James. It's great. We'll see you next time, guys.
See you later.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do it!